Kansas City Chiefs, 14 wins and another trip to the Super Bowl. No team better at moving the ball last year. Third best on third down, sixth most points per game.
Here comes Tyreek Hill at the 10. Downfield block, 5-yard line, touchdown! The cheetah breaks down the door.
You have the most expensive QB in the game, but he seems worth all that coin, doesn't he?
And throws it like almost a no-look. That's incredible.
He ain't no MVP. We got the MVP. Oh, God. We got the MVP.
Patrick Mahomes has all his key assistants back, too.
Because if they stay with y'all, I'm going to be running for days anyways, but if they come to me, I'm going to put it right to y'all.
Darwin Thompson, the running back with him. He fakes to him and now sprints to the right. He is throwing long down the field. He wants Tyreek Hill, makes the catch and rolls into the end zone. Corner pattern near side. Kelsey, touchdown!
Matriculating the ball downfield, baby.
Get action. Here it comes near side. Hardman 20, 15, 10 explodes. Touchdown! Kansas City!
That's big time, boy.
Sidearms it. DeMarcus Robinson. Corner route. Caught! Touchdown!
I threw it a little too high. I was just trying to just lob it out there, but it got there.
That group helped the Chiefs lead the league in passing yards per game, and we can't bump their win total up only because they're as good as it gets already.
What we do? Yeah, baby.
But what if the line that sets all those plays up is better? Last year's group was ranked 13th by PFF, and they only gave up 24 sacks, fifth fewest.
Come on. That was a spark it right there. That's all that was. That was just to spark it up.
But they picked up Orlando Brown from the Ravens, added Joe Thuney, Kyle Long came out of retirement to play for them, and they get Laurent Duvernay-Tardif back. This may be one of the deepest lines in football, and that equals positive gains in the win column.
Steps up into the pocket. He throws it late for the end zone. Kelsey wide open. Touchdown!
That was kind of sweet.
If their line is indeed improved, then get ready for CEH to break through that 1,000-yard barrier too. Really, he could have done it last year had he not gotten hurt, but this year he could blow by it.
Back left run, it goes to Edwards-Helaire. 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Kansas City, CEH with TD1!
So the Chiefs tinkered slightly with their offense and did the same with a defense that you'd describe as average to solid. 16th in yards per game allowed, 17th on third down, but tied for 10th best in points per game allowed.
Tua from his own end zone, being harassed! It will be a safety!
Their pass defense tends to get overlooked, but it held QBs to the 10th lowest rating, the 5th lowest completion percentage, and were 13th in yards per attempt allowed.
A second consecutive interception for the Chiefs defense.
They bring back most of the secondary that put up those numbers too.
Snap at the left knee of Breeze. Future Hall of Famer floats a corner pattern. It's going to be intercepted by L'Jarius Sneed.
Hey, we just getting started.
Comes back to the near side, a man wide open at the 5, stumbling for the pylon and fumbled out of the end zone. It'll be a touchback.
Let's go!
Pressure escapes, moves to his right, trying to reroute his receivers. Pass is intercepted at the 30, coming to the near side. It's the Honey Badger. He's got it at the 20, spins out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
Charvarius Ward with his first sack of the season, the 2-year starter with a big-time play.
But they did let Bashaud Breeland walk, and he had a great year for them. In this day and age of 3 wide-out sets, losing him hurts.
Pass is intercepted. Matthew influenced that one as Breeland comes away with the theft.
Their pass rush was below average when it came to sacks, finishing 19th.
We need more.
So they went out and signed Jarran Reed.
Welcome back, Jarran Reed.
And he should be able to help Frank Clark.
I'm on that couch like this, look, with my feet kicked up. Oh, you know I am. I'm on the floor with it. Oh, what up, girl?
And Chris Jones improved their pressure rate, so give him a half-game nudge back up the ladder.
You know I had to hit you. It's just a part of it.
KC hasn't been able to stop the run the last few years.
He's in! Touchdown, David Johnson!
To address it, they used their second-round pick on linebacker Nick Bolton. But look, stopping backs doesn't seem to matter too often with them, as they've still made the last 3 AFC Championship games and seem primed to do it again. They may be better than last year, so don't pay much attention to the 14-3 prediction we're going with. Just had to find wins for the rest of the league, you know? What's the worst case with them? 12-5, I guess, because they lose some close games because they're bored.
Can't wait to go home and have a nice hamburger. That sounds great right now.
There just isn't a clear reason why this roster won't excel again. And for the fun of it, let's talk ceiling. Sure, 17-0 because they'll likely be favored in every game they play, so there may be one of two teams that could pull that off. Las Vegas Raiders an even 8-8 record in year 3 of the return of Chucky, but that was an improvement and one made possible by an offense that put up the 10th most points per game, 8th most yards per game, while being 6th best on third down.
Good call. Great job. Great job.
Derek Carr, some fine-looking stats once again.
Throws end zone, dive for the end zone, touchdown Raiders!
Come on, bro. What else would you rather do?
I know some say maybe that's all he is, a guy with good-looking stats, but Vegas threw for the 7th most passing yards per game, and Carr was taking more shots downfield than he did the year before.
Hey, they can't stop us. They can't stop us now. We got to keep going.
He did lose his best deep target, though. No more Nelson Aguilar, who had a career year, so let's dock him a half a game.
Yes, indeed, Nelson Aguilar.
But let's say Henry Ruggs continues to develop.
Oh, got a man open, it's Ruggs. There he is, Ruggs, touchdown, jackpot, baby.
First one, baby, kid. First baby. Good job.
And let's say new arrival John Brown can stretch the field a little too. That should cover what they lost in Aguilar.
It was too easy, man. Come on.
And we won't overlook Darren Waller's impact. Turns out he's no fluke.
What a day Waller has had. Darren Waller has a 200-yard day.
The O-line charged with blocking for Carr will be drastically different. They only gave up 28 sacks, 10th fewest.
Yes! Yes!
But they received a poor rating from PFF, 22nd, and they lost Rodney Hudson, one of the best centers in the game. But they used the number 17 overall pick on Alex Leatherwood and get Richie Incognito back. But this group represents a little bit of a wait and see.
Right in the hands of Khari Willis. He's going the other way.
The Raiders' run game is stable. Josh Jacobs had to grind for his second 1,000-yard season, but he got it done.
Jacobs has got it. Jacobs going. Jackpot, baby.
His very capable backup Devontae Booker is gone, though. His spot taken by new acquisition Kenyon Drake, so that should be a wash.
And look out, here goes Drake. He's off to the races.
The offense overall carried its weight most games. The defense, though, did not. And if they're going to continue improving as a team, it's the D that really has to step up.
I let T.Y. go twice today. I don't like that.
Only 2 teams gave up more points per game than they did. They finished 25th in yards per game allowed and were 30th on third down.
Caught ball, touchdown Chris Godwin, touchdown Tampa Bay.
They couldn't stop the run, 4.6 yards per carry allowed on the ground.
Edwards-Helaire, right side run. Diving for the far front pylon. Touchdown!
They're banking on Solomon Thomas living up to his potential, but keep in mind he's coming off a serious injury.
Good play by Solomon Thomas. Great play by Solomon.
Otherwise, they're rolling with the same D front they did last year, and that front again had trouble getting to QBs. Only 3 teams had fewer sacks.
He chucked his touchdown pass in.
Well, you can't expect him to cover forever.
They did sign Yannick Ngakoue, 8 sacks last year.
That little spin move coming inside, it's just so fast.
And Max Crosby is always a threat.
In trouble now, and they'll dump him back at the 42-yard line.
But Cleveland Farrell has yet to justify going so high in the draft, so their back end will likely have to stay with those receivers longer than they'd like, which makes pass defense that much harder.
He's apt to throw for 1,000 yards if they don't cover these receivers better than that.
Las Vegas was ranked 21st in rating, 26th in passing yards per game allowed, and 23rd in yards per attempt allowed.
Are you kidding me?
How do you do this if you're the Raiders?
Trayvon Mullen at least has shown he belongs.
Incredible play by Trayvon Mullen.
They drafted Trayvon Merrick in the second round to take over at one safety spot, and they signed Casey Hayward to take the other corner spot. That should help.
Intercepted by Casey Hayward and disaster for Denver.
So that has them at 8 wins, but let's get it to 9 because Gruden has made them a little better each season he's been there. The thing is, they just didn't land any premier players this past offseason that warrant them making a big jump in wins. The floor for them, Carr's numbers slip, offense is average, they fall to 6-11. The ceiling, if some of those new faces overperform, 11 wins are definitely in play. LA Chargers, a 7-win season last year and all sorts of hope after Herbie the Love Bug or Air Bear or the Silent Assassin, whatever you want to call him. Once Justin Herbert took over at QB, he immediately made other teams wonder if they blew it when they passed him by in the draft.
Still on his feet, he's got the mobility. Touchdown, Chargers!
How much fun was that, man? That was probably the coolest 15 minutes of my life.
Herbert's 31 TD passes a rookie record, and like the guy in Clerks, he wasn't even supposed to be there, taking over because of a total fluke.
Herbie's going to go, sticks his back up. He's good enough. Our game plan's good enough. We're good enough.
Takes a shot to the end zone, wide open, caught, touchdown, Chargers.
So the rationale is, if he was that good in year 1, he will only get better in year 2, but he did set the bar pretty high, so let's keep it to a half-win jump.
Poise under pressure, absolutely no panic from the rookie.
Herbert helped the Chargers offense finish 9th best on third down, 9th best in yards per game, and 6th best in passing yards per game.
And a beautiful ball from Justin Herbert.
He realized early on what makes Keenan Allen so special.
Caught Keenan Allen into the end zone, touchdown, Chargers.
He realized why you can just throw it up anywhere near Mike Williams, and there's a decent chance he pulls it in.
Has a man caught, Mike Williams, one-handed, touchdown, Chargers.
And he realized when all else fails, dump it to Austin Eckler.
Quick delivery near side. Eckler lunges and he's in for the touchdown.
The Chargers did have to say goodbye to Hunter Henry, but they feel like they won't lose anything with Jared Cook in his spot.
And touchdown! Jared Cook across the goal line.
Herbert didn't suffer a horrible number of sacks, but it's partially because he was so athletic. His line was rated dead last by PFF, so no shock changes were made up front.
Herbert pressured. He's sacked. Now the ball comes out. Loose ball at the 20-yard line. Chargers recover.
First, they get Herbert the best center in the game last year, according to PFF, Corey Linsley. They used the number 13 overall pick on new left tackle Rashawn Slater and picked up 2 new guards for him. How's that for an overhaul? Worth $1.50 worth of wins in their case.
Takes a shot, wants it all, has a man, Guyton, caught.
They should make things easier for Eckler when he's being handed the ball too.
And now breaks away from a defender. 5, 2, 1, touchdown, Chargers.
Now to the defense. Sort of a mixed bag. 10th fewest yards per game allowed, 10th best in the red zone, 9th fewest passing yards per game allowed.
And moving to his left, shovel pass, intercepted by Melvin Ingram.
Their pass D was solid most of the time, respectable rating allowed, 7th lowest yards per attempt allowed, and 4th lowest completion percentage.
Intercepted, touchdown, Chargers.
Michael Davis made for a tough corner to complete passes against.
It's gonna be a pick 6 for Michael Davis.
And while they lost Rashawn Jenkins and Casey Hayward, both of whom played well last year, they drafted Asante Samuel Jr. in the 2nd round, and he was considered a steal. And they get Derwin James back, who missed all of 2020, so they should be in good shape still.
To the end zone, intercepted!
Would be nice if someone other than Joey Bosa could get to the QB.
Under pressure and goes down.
Bosa did his part, but got no help from anyone else. LA finishing 25th in sacks. Melvin Ingram walked, no big as he had 0 QB takedowns in his 7 games. They're hoping Kyler Fackrell can help a little at least. Yeah, he's the OG Kyler, by the way. He made the show first.
Off under pressure, and down he goes. Good job by Kyler Fackrell to stick with that.
Rest of the front is pretty much the same, though, and that same front didn't do much to stop the run.
There's a whole host of Chargers that had a little blood on their hands there.
They are ecstatic, though, with how rookie linebacker Kenneth Murray showed in his first year.
This guy never leaves the field. He's calling the defense. He's learning it at the same time.
Overall, though, it feels like the defense will rely on better coaching, more so than new faces to improve. But those coaches are new. Brandon Staley, the head man in charge now, and a 9-8 record in his first year would be a good way to get out of the gate. The floor, Herbert pulls a Baker Mayfield and slumps in year 2, offense struggles, team goes 6-11. The ceiling, Herbert continues to ball out and the defense makes big strides. That would get them into the playoffs for sure with an 11-6 record. Denver Broncos, 5 wins in 2020, couldn't win too many games, scoring just 20 points a game, finishing 23rd in yards per game, and near the bottom on 3rd down and in the red zone.
You cannot take that sack, and I know he had pressure in his face right away.
Drew Lock just wasn't able to do much, finishing with just 16 TD passes.
Lock, straight back, looks down into the left, fires, intercepted. Lock against it, fires, and there's his 4th interception. Kwiatkowski.
And it is going to be a long flight home for Drew Lock.
So they bring in Teddy Bridgewater, who threw for 1 fewer TD, though he did at least have a higher rating.
But what I don't understand is how the Panthers are making it look that easy.
There is reason to believe they'll get more production from their QB. They have Jerry Jeudy building off a fine rookie season.
Wow, just took it away from Pierre Desir.
KJ Hamler is also looking to build on his rookie year.
Lock rolls to his right,
Locke throws a ball. End zone catch. Touchdown, Denver. Touchdown, Denver.
Noah Fant showed signs of why he was drafted so high.
Throws the ball middle of the field. Nice throw and nice catch there. Noah Fant.
Hey, let's go. We need this. Let's go. Let's punch this in.
Tim Patrick quietly put up solid numbers.
Patrick spins around and walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
And Cortland Sutton is back. Remember what they were calling him before his injury? Baby Megatron. Their receiving core is better with him, and so is their win column.
Oh, he got it! What a catch! Touchdown, Denver!
Denver's O-line was ranked 25th by PFF, but they didn't surrender too many sacks, tied for the 13th fewest. 4 of their 5 starters return, and Garrett Bowles has shown he's a franchise left tackle. They'll be opening up holes for Melvin Gordon, who put up one of the best years of his career in his first year a mile up.
Handed off running right. Melvin Gordon squares, breaks a hole. 10, 5, touchdown, Denver.
Like the offense, the defense had issues as well. 25th in points per game allowed, 21st in yards per game allowed.
So this is going to be a very long Pittsburgh touchdown.
The biggest weakness was their run D, which gave up 4.8 a carry. Only 3 teams gave up a higher figure than that.
Booker headed for the end zone. Yeah, baby. 2 touchdowns.
They did fare well getting after the QB, finishing in the top 10 in sacks.
And the Bronco defense is eating up this front. Tua will be hit and dropped. And there's Bradley Chubb with a huge shot.
Thing is, they did that without Von Miller, and he's got to be worth at least 1 win over the course of a season.
But he's so quick, so explosive.
If Miller, Bradley Chubb, Malik Reed and company can apply some extra pressure, the DBs behind them will benefit. They were an average group overall.
As there's a caught ball, Mike Evans, touchdown, Tampa Bay.
They're set at the very back. They have one of the best, if not the best, safety duos in the NFL.
Slings that one across the middle, and it's intercepted by Kareem Jackson.
Intercepted by Justin Simmons in the end zone.
Best in the league! Best in the league!
Bryce Callahan has worked out great.
Throwing, and that's picked off. That is intercepted on the play, Bryce Callahan.
And they drafted Patrick Surtain II, number 9 overall, and then picked off Kyle Fuller.
Ricochets up, Kyle Fuller. And it's his 19th career interception.
As well as adding Ronald Darby. The secondary depth they enjoy is ridiculous and worth another nudge. The defense could be a force to be reckoned with. The offense will go as far as the QB will take them. They are a better team than last year, but until we see one of their QBs prove something, we're going to go with a 7-10 prediction. Worst case, though, they get the same kind of play from their signal callers as they did last year, and it's back to another 5-win campaign. Best case, they get like 25, 26 TDs from the QB. Maybe that buys them another few wins, maybe even 3 of them, getting them to 10-7. LA Rams, double-digit wins in 2020, but it was the defense, not the Sean McVay-run offense, that led the way.
He's hit the balls loose. Aaron Donald dusts the left guard, Eric Flowers.
It ain't on if you're life on offense.
Domination. No one gave up fewer points per game or yards per game, and they were 3rd best on 3rd down.
I'm gonna talk to you 3. I just want to talk.
Looking for a weakness? Good luck. 3.8 yards per carry allowed on the ground.
You talk about physical football. That's how you dominate in the National Football League.
Losing Michael Brockers from their front, though, will be felt, not just in the run game, but in the passing game as well. The Steelers, the only team to finish with more sacks than LA.
The Seahawks cannot block these 5 guys. They can't block them one-on-one.
They also lost Samson Ebukam. Neither guy put up huge numbers, but combined, they matter.
Ebukam able to get to him.
But it's not like they lost 99, and it seems like anyone who gets to line up near him will fall into 5 sacks by accident.
Aaron Donald rips him to the turf and jumps on the football!
Just look at the impact he had on Leonard Floyd, for example.
He's sacked again! Leonard Floyd!
The pressure AD and company put on QBs made it almost impossible to complete passes against them. Fewest passing yards per game allowed, lowest yards per attempt allowed, and 2nd lowest rating allowed.
Get on, dog! Get knocked down, you feel me?
Is Jalen Ramsey the top cover guy in football? Sure seems like it.
To intercept is Jalen Ramsey! Right on cue!
Make sure you go wherever I go! Don't run!
But the secondary also took some hits. John Johnson had a great year for them at safety. Gone.
Here and watch Johnson come flying up there. He knows he's in one-on-one coverage off the blitzer.
Troy Hill was solid for them at corner. Also gone.
Murray throws behind. It's intercepted. Troy Hill, the 35, the 20, the 10. A pick six for Troy Hill.
But LA felt they could let Hill walk because they love what they have in Darius Williams.
Russ starts to throw the ball and never saw Darius Williams, who read it all the way, stepped in front.
And they expect Taylor Rapp to slide in for Johnson, so it seems like their DB core will be just fine.
Throws to the back of the end zone. It's batted and intercepted.
Will the offense be just fine or better now that Matthew Stafford is in town?
Matthew looks, drifts left, throws deep, got a man open, end zone, caught, touchdown.
Stafford takes over an attack that could use a shot in the arm, tied for 22nd in points per game, 19th in the red zone. Those numbers to some degree ended up being pinned on Jared Goff. Stafford viewed as the missing piece for a team that thinks it can win now, and Stafford should give them a better shot at doing that.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
He has a stout O-line in front of him. PFF rated them 6th best. They finished top 10 in sacks allowed, and 4 of the 5 guys are back, so give them a continuity bump.
Woo! Nice job, baby!
Their big uglies opened up holes that allowed both their backs to hit at 4.3 yards per carry or better on the ground, too.
Henderson takes the handoff. He cuts middle. He's got space. Darrell Henderson hits him with the horsepower. Touchdown, LA! Akers up the middle, into the end zone. Touchdown, LA!
And the receiving corps added depth when they picked up Tutu Atwell in the 2nd round. He'll join Robert Woods.
Caught by Robert Woods. Downfield the 20. Cuts outside 15. Woods the 10. Gets a block. Robert Woods.
And Cooper Kupp.
Alone at the 40. Down to the 30. Running middle. 10, 5. Touchdown, LA!
Stafford, though, is the key to it all, though. He's supposed to make them better, and he does. But the NFC West is going to be a dogfight, so we'll go with 12-5, which would win the division. That defense will still give OCs nightmares each week. Worst case, though, the D slips. The pressure is too much for Stafford, and the toll of the division takes a toll, and they finish 9-8. But what if a Detroit-less Stafford blows up and throws 35 TDs, and the D is just as good as it was last year? Move them up to 14-3 with aspirations to be the 2nd team in a row to win the Super Bowl at home. San Francisco 49ers, what a fall from grace, going from 13 wins in 2019 to just 6 last year. The wheels falling off due to all sorts of injuries, one that kept Jimmy Garoppolo hobbled on the sidelines, and that hobbled their offense.
Mullins wants to throw over the middle, intercepted!
Jimmy G only played in 6 games, the offense being run by C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins in his absence, and that went how you'd expect it to go. 21st in points per game, 15th in yards per game, 24th on 3rd down.
Knocked out by Chase Young.
The trio of SF signal callers combined for 25 TD passes, a 90.1 rating, and 17 interceptions.
He pumps. It's intercepted!
Assume Garoppolo plays a full slate. I know injuries might not be his biggest concern anymore, but for now, let's say he plays all 17. That would still be better than the revolving door they had last year, and that would be worth a couple wins.
4th and 2, Kittle over the middle.
What an absolute strike from Jimmy Garoppolo.
His pass catchers. It starts with George Kittle, of course.
Fellas! Hey, it is National Tight End Day, so I thought I'd say a few words. It's not Jimmy G's day, it's all of our day because you're all honoring tight end. Hey, you guys know it is. It's National Tight End Day, so like...
It is. I saw that this morning on ESPN.
I'll let their defense know.
Who missed half the year. Assume that doesn't happen again, and the Niners are better for it by a game.
Put it on tape, baby!
From there, it's 2 young and the team hopes up-and-coming receivers who should be better, and that's also good for the W column.
Smoke route to Ayuk back right, and he will run for a 49er first down, break a tackle down the sideline 10, jump over a man, and dive into the end zone. Deebo Samuel jet sweep motion, takes the forward flip, breaks a tackle, and runs for a 49er first down. Across the 34, now touchdown down the sideline. They never blew him dead. He popped back up and made it a huge run.
That's sort of it. I know Kendrick Bourne isn't WR1 material, but losing his production isn't going to make their passing attack better.
Into the end zone, caught by Kendrick Bourne.
They tend to rely a lot on their ground game. Raheem Mostert is lightning in a bottle, but can he avoid the injury bug?
See ya!
You've got Trey Sermon, who they traded up to get, so maybe he gets in on the rotation. Jeff Wilson won't be ready to start the year, but when he's back, he showed he's been able to handle the load. And they picked up Wayne Gallman. so they do have depth at least.
Gallman, he leaps into the end zone for the touchdown.
The line that will open up holes for them ranked 4th by PFF in 2020, and all they did was get better since they added Alex Mack at center. The other 4 starters are all back, including PFF's top left tackle, Trent Williams.
And he's gone! Raheem Mostert is gone down the sideline.
The defense also suffered its fair share of injuries, and that hurt them on the scoreboard, where they gave up the 17th most points per game.
Well, the blitz got picked up and absolutely got bit by Kyler Murray.
However, take a look at the rest of their numbers. 6th lowest yards per carry allowed.
Oh, yeah!
Hard to run on them with Fred Warner roaming around.
Yeah, boy!
And they played the pass well too. 8th lowest rating given up, 4th fewest passing yards per game allowed, 4th lowest yards per attempt allowed.
Pressured, Goff got hit, intercepted by Javon Kinlaw!
Richard Sherman isn't coming back, but he wasn't on the field all that much anyway. Ahkello Witherspoon was though, and he's also gone, and he played well for them.
And for Ahkello Witherspoon, it's his first INT of the year.
Rest of the secondary is basically the same, and it's a secondary that will benefit from Nick Bosa's return.
Cousins pressured again. That's a half dozen sacks. Bosa.
Without him, San Fran slipped to a tie for 22nd in sacks, but Bosa showed when he's on the field, the guys around him are better. So give them another bump up if you assume Nick B will play all year. Rounding down, that gets them to a 10-7 record. Look, this is one of the harder teams to gauge because of how they handled the draft. You don't take Trey Lance because you think Jimmy G is the franchise guy. And if that QB controversy is too much for him to handle or the team, things could look a lot like last year. Let's go 7-10 as the floor. The ceiling, though, is another division title. If the team avoids the injury bug and whoever the QB is provides above average production, they, like pretty much all the NFC West teams, have a shot at 12 wins. Seattle Seahawks, 12 wins in 2020 to go along with the NFC West crown. Their offense fueled by Mr. Dangerous.
Here comes the Seahawks offense. The throw to the back corner of the end zone, reaching up, making the catch, touchdown, Seahawks!
Let's go, come on, we're coming back, let's go, let's get it, come on.
Russell Wilson steered the Hawks to the 8th most points per game, only 17th in yards per game, but 4th best in the red zone.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Wilson came out of the gate on fire, cooled a bit, but still finished with 40 TD passes.
Russell Wilson, just magnificent again today.
Seattle didn't tinker with its starting lineup too much. Wilson still has one of the best wide receiver duos in the game.
Play fake by Russ, stops, looks, throws deep, man wide open, it's Lockett, he's in, touchdown, Seahawks! Looks, fires a shot inside, reaching out, making a catch, touchdown, Seahawks!
Let's get it, let's go, man, let's go, let's go!
The primary third wide receiver will be new, likely see a lot of second-rounder Dwayne Eskridge out there, and Wilson's tight end is also new, Gerald Everett coming over from the Rams.
Gerald Everett, and he walks into the end zone.
4 of the Hawks' 5 starting O-linemen are back, but it was a line that once again gave up a lot of QB takedowns.
The 4th sack on Russell Wilson in the first half. A Sunday colored in purple continues.
But PFF rated the group 11th best, so some of those sacks are on Wilson, who likes to use his legs to extend plays or take off with them. Russ picked up 500-plus yards on the ground again.
Pete Carroll says, yeah, I like that, just like we called it.
He was second on the team in rushing yards to Chris Carson, who looked good when he was healthy.
Chris Carson just runs over half of the Minnesota defense.
Still, Seattle needs to clean some things up this year if they want to make it deeper into the postseason. They didn't move the ball great because they were so bad on 3rd down.
3rd down and 2. Here comes the blitz, and Russ is going to get hammered.
The defense also needs to make some strides. 15th in points per game allowed, 22nd in yards per game allowed, 27th on 3rd down.
Well, you ain't going to be able to do that all night. I promise you ain't.
Now, they weren't terrible by any means. They were one of the few teams that held ball carriers to less than 4 yards a carry.
Matson gets the ball. He gets hit. I don't think he got there. It's going to be close.
No!
It's Seahawks football. He did not make it.
Always helps to have a dude like Bobby Wagner at middle linebacker.
Bobby Wagner created the problems.
But he won't have KJ Wright next to him this year, and that doesn't make their D better.
Reaches up about 13 feet in the air.
Seattle's front 7 also did a great job at pressuring the quarterback, 7th most sacks in the league.
Gets hit, goes down. touchdown! Huge play by the Seahawks defense.
They took another hit, though, when they lost Jaron Reed.
Welcome back, Jaron Reed.
But how about adding Aldon Smith to the rotation?
It's fumbled and it's being run back by Aldon Smith.
And Kerry Hyder, both guys more than making up for Reed's loss.
Goff is sacked back at the 30.
Now let's move to the Hawks secondary, which actually featured their team leader in sacks.
They get to Ryan and they knock him off his feet.
Hey, go ahead.
Jamal Adams wasn't blitzing. He was helping their D hold QBs to a 90.2 rating. Respectable.
Prescott stands strong and picked up.
Teams did throw on them a lot, partially because they got into a lot of track meets. Still, only one team gave up more passing yards per game. They were 14th in yards per attempt and 21st in completion percentage allowed.
Yes! Touchdown!
Shaq Griffin took his talents to Jacksonville, too.
And Griffin with a big interception here.
But Ahkello Witherspoon looked good for San Francisco when he was on the field.
Picked off! Witherspoon in the end zone!
So that's 11.5 wins, gonna round down to go with an 11-6 record. Have you seen the division? Holy cow. But they will be right there in the thick of it as long as number 3 is out there. The floor, the defense doesn't improve, the changes don't gel properly, the division is just too much, 10-7 still. And the ceiling, 13 wins, which would give them the division title again, but that division just isn't going to allow any crazy good records to get hung on the board this year. Arizona Cardinals, 8 wins last year and a feeling that things are headed in the right direction. The offense clicking to the tune of the 6th most yards per game, 13th most points per game, while finishing 10th best in the red zone.
Not even playing good yet. We can get this thing going, man. We can get this thing going.
All those numbers represent progress, and so do Kyler Murray's numbers, Murray making clear gains as a passer in year 2. And because we like him to keep up that trend, we're awarding some forward progress in the win column.
Deep pass, left side going for Hopkins. One-handed catch and a touchdown. Hopkins was blanketed by a jet, but it don't matter.
Hey, come on, yo. Let's go.
Helped having someone like D-Hop to throw at.
Into the end zone, jump ball, and it is. Is it caught? Is it caught? Oh my goodness, it's caught. DeAndre Hopkins caught it. He caught it for a touchdown with 1 second left. I can't believe it.
And Christian Kirk is always good for a few deep balls too.
The receiver touchdown, Christian Kirk.
And is Larry Legend really not going to return? Count me in as one that hopes he does.
Larry Fitzgerald caught it for a touchdown. His first touchdown of the year, and it's vintage Fitz.
If he doesn't, though, they did at least add A.J. Green, who's more than capable of picking up the slack.
Goes near side and is caught. A.J. Green for the Cincinnati touchdown.
Another area they could be stronger in, up front. PFF ranked their O-line 19th, but they added one of the best centers in the game in Rodney Hudson. Plus, it's not like they gave up a ton of sacks last year, tied for the 11th fewest.
Hopkins puts his hands up and he catches it, and it's a touchdown.
So unbelievable. Like, he makes every play.
And their line paved the way for a healthy run game, too, Murray himself racking up over 800 rushing yards.
Running right for the end zone, touchdown.
And Kenyon Drake picking up over 900. Those yards now in Vegas, though.
And look out, here goes Drake. He's off to the races.
But give him that half win back because James Conner seems like an adequate replacement.
Touchdown, James Conner.
The Zona defense also made some strides last season.
Yeah. Hey, you gonna know these too.
12th fewest points per game allowed, 13th fewest yards per game allowed, 12th best on third down, and third best in the red zone.
And Elliott fumbled the ball again. And the Cardinals have picked it up.
They were able to make things tough on QBs with a pass rush that finished tied for 4th most sacks.
He's going to get sacked on the first play back at the 16-yard line.
But 12.5 of those sacks left with Hassan Reddick. That's a lot of QB takedowns.
Hassan Reddick for the sack and the strip. Smelling blood in the water.
So, how do you cover those? Chandler Jones being on the field all year will do it.
Find number 55, Chandler Jones. There's a reason why he was the Defensive Player of the Year runner-up last year with 19 sacks.
And so will having 99 lined up across the way. You hear they landed J.J. Watt, right?
Here comes Watt. There goes Jackson. And for the first time, J.J. Watt has sacked quarterback Lamar Jackson.
Cardinals' pass defense also progressed a year ago, respectable rating allowed, while holding teams to the 10th fewest passing yards per game, 10th lowest yards per attempt allowed.
Picked off by Baker. The chase is on.
But they will be starting 2 new corners. Patrick Peterson is no longer in the building.
Picked off by Patrick Peterson along the sideline.
And Dre Kirkpatrick is out too, and he had a better year than Peterson. But so did Malcolm Butler, so that's a wash at the very least.
Malcolm Butler picks it out of the air and winds his way inside the 20-yard line.
They'd really like to shore up that run defense. They used the number 16 overall pick on linebacker Zaven Collins, and they're looking for last year's first-rounder Isaiah Simmons to improve.
Wilson is sacked for the second time. Isaiah Simmons.
A 10-7 record would be impressive considering the division they're in and the stage of development they're in, and it would also get them into the postseason. But if playing the Rams, Niners, and Seahawks twice each is too much, the defense isn't adequate, they could stall and they could be stuck back at 8 wins again. But how high is the ceiling? If Green and Watt end up being the missing pieces, it's not crazy, or cray, for them to make a run at the division title with a 12-5 record. Cleveland Browns. The barking is starting to get pretty loud in the pound after putting up 11 wins last year and finally getting that long sought-after invite to the postseason dance.
12,000 are going crazy inside First Energy Stadium. An amazing story. The Browns will get their 11th win of the year, and they're going to the playoffs.
Browns fans are also stoked about their QB. Baker Mayfield's year 3 was much more in line with his year 1 than his year 2, easing a lot of nerves around First Energy Stadium.
Yeah!
Now, Baker and their passing game still have some ground to make up. The offense was just 14th in points per game, 16th in yards per game, and just 24th in passing yards per game.
It's a free set button! It's a free set button!
It's not that they don't have weapons. Few teams know how to contain Jarvis Landry from the slot.
Boy, did Jarvis come to play today!
And there's that OBJ dude. He missed much of last year with an injury, so he's obviously the prime candidate to give their offense a shot in the arm.
Touchdown, OBJ! His second of the day!
There were some whispers, though, that Baker looked better without him, so we won't move the meter, but he clearly is the type of player that could send it north.
Looking, he's going to go long and deep. Beckham's out there. He's got it! In the end zone, touchdown, OBJ!
He's one of the few changes you'll see to their starting 11 on offense, if you can even call it that. Their O-line gave up the 8th fewest sacks, was rated first by PFF, and is made up of the same 5 starters as last year.
Hell yeah, boy! Hell yeah! Yeah!
Hey, man! 7-7 just put me on my ass!
And their run game is made up of the same 2 cats.
Gives to Hunt, and he shoulders his way in off the left side. Touchdown, Browns!
I'm hoping we pop one right here. I just hand off and watch him run.
Gives the ball, Chubb's coming out to the left. He's done it again!
He is amazing.
The entire offense being back, combined with Kevin Stefanski being in his 2nd year on the job, makes it easier to think that their offense will be better. And that's good news for their win total.
He's going to bang it to the outside left, out of a tackle 10. He's to the 5, he's in for a touchdown!
The defense, on the other hand, is going to look a lot different. Could be that only 4 of their starters retain their spots. They were 21st in points per game allowed, 17th in yards per game allowed, 23rd on 3rd down.
He got over the linebacker and in front of the safeties, right?
It's not that they were horrible in any one area, they just weren't great in any one area either. 4.3 yards per carry allowed on the ground, for example. So, revamp the front 4. Malik Jackson and Andrew Billings get plugged in up front, throw Jadeveon Clowney next to them, and plop linebacker Anthony Walker behind them. And you've got yourself another half-win bump.
And Peterson runs right into Anthony Walker.
The one guy from their front 4 coming back, Myles Garrett.
Sack lunch, right here, sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
But even Garrett wasn't able to move their sack needle much. They were middle of the pack, and none of the new faces, Clowney included, have had much success at getting to the QB recently. So Garrett may be on his own again.
Myles Garrett does it again!
An improved pass rush would go a long way in helping their secondary. Ranked 22nd in passing yards per game allowed, 19th in passer rating allowed, 25th in TD passes given up.
It's intended for Tyler Boyd. Touchdown!
So like their front, tear it all down. Denzel Ward, the one lone starter, returning, and for good reason.
Denzel Ward will take that!
But he'll partner with a couple new faces, number 26 overall pick Greg Newsome, and former Ram Troy Hill, who is coming off a solid season in LA.
Pick by Hill. Troy Hill running down the sidelines, now cutting back middle.
And they added another Ram at safety. John Johnson had a stellar year. All these guys are upgrades, so let's upgrade their win total.
Tate makes the catch and gets hammered by Johnson.
The Browns were on the rise last year and made moves that indicate that rise will continue. Let's round down to 12-5 so we're not getting ahead of ourselves. But you know what? Let's get ahead of ourselves a little. Give them the division crown on some kind of tiebreaker. The dog pound would be in a frenzy. But beware, high expectations can be a curse. Just look at Baker circa year 2. If the pressure of restoring hope is too much for him and he slides backwards, the team does too, and they're sitting at 9-8. But the ceiling is as high as it's been since Otto Graham was their QB. Getting to the last dance likely hinges on the chemistry Mayfield and Beckham can create, as well as their D making strides. But they have a roster that can pull off a 14-3 record, along with a trip to LA in February. Baltimore Ravens' 11 wins in 2020 almost felt like a little bit of a letdown, which says a lot about the expectations with this club.
Lamar Jackson, he fooled everybody on that play.
But that's life when you have a QB that's doing things that no one has ever done before.
Jackson with incredible speed, the only quarterback in NFL history to put up back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons.
Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' rush attack once again led the charge for the Ravens' offense. No team ran as much, and no team averaged more yards per carry than they did.
He's got a touchdown!
Lamar led the way with another 1,000-plus yard season on the ground.
Jackson will keep it on the read option. Big hole in the middle. 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Ravens! Lamar Jackson right up the middle.
But their actual running backs did plenty of damage too.
Stiff arms man, 35-40. Leg race, midfield.
My goodness, he is fast.
I didn't know you were that fast.
Jackson will give it to Edwards. Left side. Touchdown. Gus the bus Edwards.
Gus ain't no school bus. That mother Tesla bus.
Lots of changes to the line that opened up all those holes, but change might be good in their case. They were ranked 23rd by PFF, and getting Ronnie Stanley back and signing Alejandro Villanueva away from their rival should give them a boost in the win column, a full game in this case.
I like how we were just moving just there and grooving. We gotta play street ball sometimes.
Their new look line won't be expected to do too much pass blocking. They were last in pass attempts last year, but when they do throw, they usually are pretty efficient. Jackson put up 26 TDs to 9 interceptions with a rating a tick below 100.
Mark Andrews on a perfect throw from Lamar Jackson.
Marquise Brown looks like a legit threat to break one every time he has the ball.
And he's got it. Marquise Brown hangs on to the football and scores.
And Mark Andrews is one of Jackson's favorites.
That was T.O.B. Thing of beauty.
But maybe the new additions will lead to a few more pass attempts. They used the number 27 overall pick in the draft on Rashad Bateman, and they signed Sammy Watkins. Just because they'll be more of a threat to chuck it, it's worth a move north on the meter.
Yeah! So we need it right there.
Baltimore's defense, they balled. Second fewest points per game allowed, 7th fewest yards per game allowed.
Ball is fumbled and recovered. L.J. Ford has it at the 15-yard line, on the run to the 10. Stiff arms a man, 5, lunges for the pylon.
The heart of the D, the secondary, which has a pair of corners in the argument for top corner duo.
Tannehill throws down the middle. It is intercepted. Marcus Peters. He returns it to the 50-yard line.
And once again, Marlon Humphrey, coming off a Pro Bowl season, makes a play.
Those guys did what they did without much of a pass rush either. Baltimore middle of the pack in sacks last year, so they used the number 31 overall pick on Odafe Owe. They signed Justin Houston late this offseason. He had 8 sacks last year, but they did, however, lose both of their starting outside linebackers. Matthew Judon, one of the few guys who consistently applied pressure, so let's call all of it a wash.
It is a safety. Matt Judon gets the sack.
As for stopping the run, they still struggled with it last year, allowing over 4.5 yards a carry.
Touchdown! Titans! As the Titans will run out of Baltimore!
Patrick Queen did pick up over 100 tackles in his rookie campaign, though, so maybe he builds on that and they contain ball carriers a little better.
It hit and is wrecked at the 50-yard line.
So they're up 1.5 games on the meter. We'll round down due to the division they play in being so tough. Still, 12-5 would restore the belief that what they're doing with that ground game will take them to the promised land. The worst case scenario is tied to teams figuring out that ground game, the O-line having too many new pieces to gel fast enough. Still, 10 wins seems like the floor. The ceiling, on the other hand, 15-2. The passing attack becomes more prominent in their play calling, and teams have zero clue how to stop them. Pittsburgh Steelers, they hung 12 wins on the board in 2020, and it was a dominating D that led the way. Third fewest points per game and yards per game allowed, fifth on third down, sixth in the red zone.
Down he goes, he is hit and dropped.
Pass rush, relentless. Blitzburg, first in sacks, first in QB pressures.
Hey, he's in shock. You don't even know what happened.
TJ Watt, he's no longer playing the role of little brother. 15 QB takedowns, most in the NFL. Stephon Tuitt also hit double digits.
Tuitt hit that boy. Oh my God.
Mayfield really got drilled, and he is taking a pounding here.
However, no more Bud Dupree across from Watt. He was a force, so losing him is going to cost them, let's say, a half a win.
Bud Dupree overpowered Kedrick Willis.
They did add Melvin Ingram late, 0 sacks last year, but he was hurt. Their pass rush obviously played a significant role in their D's ability to stop the pass, and here you'll find more gaudy numbers. Lowest rating allowed, third fewest passing yards per game, lowest completion percentage allowed.
Hey.
Their secondary, though, also took a hit. They chose to let Steven Nelson walk, but that's because they really like what they saw from Cameron Sutton, so no harm, no foul.
Intercepted! That is Cam Sutton for the leaping interception.
Plus, how much of a drop-off could they see with a DB core like theirs?
Ain't nothing better than the tip just fluttering to you. I'm like, for me?
Mayfield shotgun snap, throws over the middle, intercepted. People have been asking, where's Minkah Fitzpatrick? Baker Mayfield just found out. He throws the ball down the field, intercepted by Terrell Edmonds, a one-handed grab.
The only facet defensively Pittsburgh was even slightly vulnerable in was rush defense, 4.3 yards per carry allowed.
Miles Sanders, he exploded.
So go ahead and throw Devin Bush back out on the field and go ahead and bump that meter back up.
That was something by Devin Bush right there. You can tell this young man is starting to get it.
So the D should hold up its end of the bargain once again, but can the offense do the same? Got Big Ben running the show still. Look at his numbers. They don't paint a portrait of a fading QB.
A laser into traffic.
That was a small window. What a throw by Ben.
He still has a deep receiving core too, even if they don't have a clear WR1.
About to go celebrate, go to Giant Eagle, check out some Juju, jumping cereal. It's lit. We out.
Over the middle, there's Chase Claypool. Steps out of a tackle. 10-5. Touchdown for the rookie from Notre Dame. Oh, there's a man wide open. James Washington walks in for the touchdown.
He bit so hard, man.
Oh, wide open at the 10, the 5, and that is Eric Ebron into the end zone for the 18-yard touchdown. Throws it long down the left sideline. There's a man open. He pulls it in. Deontay Johnson.
And they'll be employing a new offense, so Roethlisberger should take more downfield shots this year.
Wow, Ben threw that long.
But to take shots vertically, you have to have time, and that's the big question mark. They were the least sacked team last year, but that was a reflection of their quick pass approach.
Ben in the gun, throws it to the left flat. That is James Washington.
Pittsburgh has just one starter returning from last year's O-line, and he's moving spots. So that's like 5 new starters in front of Ben. That's not usually a good thing, and it's gonna cost him.
Big Ben all the way back to the 2, to the 1, and the Browns have it in the end zone.
Those new faces will be trying to open up holes for the ground game, which last year's group did not do. Pittsburgh last in yards per carry.
Tries to get around the edge, and he can't get there. He is stacked up.
They drafted a new running back using the number 24 overall pick on Najee Harris, but it's not like their old back was bad. Despite the team's 3.6 yard per carry average, he picked up 4.3 a run.
Break their spirit now, let's go.
So looking at a 10-7 record, not a complete meltdown, but that overhauled O-line is concerning. It could be worse too. Number 7 isn't a spring chicken anymore. If his arm can't make it through the season, the tumble could get ugly, losing record at 8-9. But what if the O-line uses all the doubters as motivation and the new approach provides the needed spark, 13-4 is in play, and maybe one more run at the big dance for Big Ben? Cincinnati Bengals, a 4-year win in 2020, the Bengals revival being cut short when Joe Cool 2.0 got hurt. But before that happened, Burrow showed why he was selected #1 overall.
He runs a quarterback draw. Trey Hopkins with a great run.
Yeah.
The 10, 5, touchdown. As Joe Burrow's first NFL touchdown.
Burrow more than held his own at the NFL level in his brief stint on the job, a respectable rookie rating to go along with 13 TDs.
Hey, that was a dime right there.
He's got to try and get their offense going in the right direction. They finished 29th in points per game and yards per game, and were tied for 29th in the red zone, 30th on third down.
Moving to his left, shovel pass, intercepted by Melvin Ingram.
I'm learning.
They were also just 27th in passing yards per game, a full year with Burrow steering the ship, and all those numbers should be better. That's another bump in the win column.
It is caught by Tyler Boyd for a touchdown.
Let's go! Let's go!
Joey B has plenty of quality weapons to choose from, too. They used the #5 overall pick to upgrade their receiving core, taking Jamar Chase. And they still have Tyler Boyd, one of the most underrated receivers in the game.
It's intended for Tyler Boyd. Touchdown!
T. Higgins shined in his first year. Their new look pass-catching group worth another half-win improvement.
T. Higgins breaks a tackle and runs it straight into the end zone.
Go! Keep backing him up, bro.
Now, when they took Chase, they did pass on giving Burrow a top-tier lineman to protect him, and protecting QBs was a huge problem in the jungle.
Pocket closes, sack.
Joe Burrow had no chance.
To that end, they did overhaul their line. They'll have at least 3 new starters up front, but hard to say how much better they'll perform than last year's group.
Great job, O-line. That's good for you.
The Bengals' O-line was ranked 30th by PFF, and it wasn't just for poor pass protection. They weren't great at opening up holes either. Joe Mixon finishing with a meager 3.6 yards per carry.
Mixon fumbles the football.
As bad as the offense was, the defense was almost just as bad. 22nd in points per game allowed, 26th in yards per game allowed, 24th in the red zone.
Caught by Pascal.
TJ Watt almost had as many sacks as Cincinnati's entire team, too.
Wentz will run. 5, pylon, touchdown. With 21 seconds to go.
That's why they threw so much money at Trey Hendrickson and his 13.5 sacks, and that at least gives them one guy who can disrupt the QB, and that too equates to a slight jump in the win column.
And he's hit from behind. Trey Hendrickson.
The lack of pressure made things tougher on their secondary. 22nd in rating allowed, 19th in passing yards per game allowed, 26th in TD passes allowed.
The shotgun snap, he's going to throw it for the end zone, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, he comes down with a ball for a touchdown.
Are you kidding me?
Thing is, they did at least make up some ground on this front compared to the year before, and they bring back the same 2 safeties.
The ball is popped away by Von Bell.
From Tannehill, here they come, throwing to the end zone, it's picked, intercepted by Bates.
But they're going with 2 new starters at corner, Trey Waynes, who didn't play last year, and they landed former Cowboy Chidobe Awuzie.
And then it's picked off. Intercepted here by Awuzie.
And then there was that run D, if you want to call it that. They gave up over 5 a pop.
Touchdown, Cleveland.
They'll trot out some new linebackers and a new defensive tackle, but none of them really move the needle much. But the needle ends up north of where it was last year. But facing Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh 6 times is still going to be tough, so we're going to drop it down to a 5-12 prediction. Still lots of work to do with that line and that defense. No floor for them, 5 wins is it, being they won 4 with Burrow missing time. So let's jump to the ceiling. If the O-line is passable and the defense is at least mediocre, Burrow is throwing darts, Mixon is a 1,000-yard back, then maybe, just maybe, they come close to the 500 mark at 8-9. Green Bay Packers, you're coming off a nice 13-win season, a season that saw your offense light teams up on the scoreboard. No team put up more points per game than the Pack. They were the 5th best in yards per game, 2nd best on third down, and tops in the red zone. They sported the league MVP, Aaron Rodgers, showing he has plenty left in the tank.
I tried to talk a little trash. It didn't come out good on the sideline. I forgot how old I was. You're moving, bro. Trying to say my age, and I'm still fast. And I said 36. 36, still fast.
And don't worry about his attitude. He wasn't too thrilled with the Jordan Love pick last year, and all it did was motivate him.
for Aaron Rodgers, his 400th career touchdown pass. He's the fastest to 400 in NFL history.
Thanks, buddy. That's pretty amazing. 200 and 400. That's the best. And luckily it wasn't your first one, so I can, so you can keep that thing. Right.
Plus, he still has Davante Adams.
The reason why other guys don't make that play is because they do this.
Rodgers from the pocket lofts it deep down the left side. Adams makes the adjustment, the catch. He's got it at the pylon. Touchdown! Oh, what a catch!
And he made good use out of the rest of his primary pass catchers.
Rodgers waits, throws, right side, got a man wide open. Touchdown, and it's Robert Tonyan again. Williams the lone back. They fake the handoff. Rodgers looking to throw, dumps it off right side of the end zone. Touchdown, Allen Lazard. Rainbows down the middle, got MVS. Touchdown.
Threw the ball so high. I'm literally backpedaling, man, so I'm like, this is just up there.
And the Packers are really hammering home the deep ball.
Green Bay's O-line deserves a lot of credit for their success last year. Tied for second fewest sacks allowed. PFF ranked them second best overall, and 4 of the 5 starters returned.
Dancing in the right corner of the end zone.
And that line made life easy for Aaron Jones, too.
And there is your dagger.
I gotta take these off, they fogging up.
This offense was balanced. It was elite, and as of right now, all the major players who made it work are back.
Leaping grab, touchdown, Davante Adams.
Sorry it took so long.
And so are the starters from their D for the most part. They put up average to above average numbers, 13th in points per game allowed, 9th in yards per game allowed, tied for 10th on third down, and 8th best in the red zone.
Has the ball knocked out of his hand and it's headed the other way.
Their pass rush was effective, tied for 10th most sacks.
Preston Smith with the scoop and score.
It was a collective effort for the most part, though Zadarius Smith did hit double digits again.
To see him just rush over the guard, Lindstrom, just going to get into him, stutter him, and then just bull rush him and run him over.
The pressure their front was able to apply helped their DBs hold QBs to a respectable rating and the 7th fewest passing yards per game allowed.
Diving interception.
Jair Alexander, best not to throw at him at this point.
Intercepted. It's Jair Alexander.
And they also love that safety duo they have.
And in there and has it picked off at the 42-yard line by Darnell Savage.
Trubisky loads up and intercepted by Amos. Adrian Amos looking for blocks.
Really, the only change to the starting 11 on D is at linebacker, where they let Christian Kirksey walk. But it wasn't like he did much to help them contain ball carriers who got them for 4.5 yards a run.
Touchdown, Tampa Bay!
So overall, they sport the same talent as last year. The only caveat is the big elephant in the room.
Whatever you see, man, I got complete confidence, man. I got kick it.
I'm a little surprised they didn't actually go for it on 4th down there.
And because you've got a QB and maybe a wide receiver going into the season with a last dance mentality, going with a conservative 12-5 prediction. It's not that this kind of scenario hasn't happened before, it just feels murky. Is everyone going to be on the same page in every key moment? Because if they aren't, and it turns into a taking sides kind of deal, they slip 9-8 as their floor. But then there is the ceiling. Rodgers just blocks the world out and goes ballistic in his chase to leave Green Bay with one more title before maybe heading off to jeopardy. Minnesota Vikings, 7 wins in 2020, a slide they didn't expect and a slide brought about due to some pretty porous defense.
On a fire inside, it's a touchdown!
29th in points per game allowed, 27th in yards per game allowed, 25th in passing yards per game allowed.
Oh my word!
The secondary, 23rd in passer rating allowed, to go along with finishing 28th in yards per attempt allowed, 20th in completion percentage allowed.
Diving, Lamb, what a catch!
That's why they signed Patrick Peterson. He may not be P-squared from a few years ago, but he represents an upgrade to their DB core and their win total.
That's what I do.
It also helps that Jeff Gladney got his rookie season out of the way, the belief being he will improve and so will the D.
And that pass is broken up. And there is Jeff Gladney, the first-round pick out of TCU, getting a hand on it.
And they plucked Bashad Breeland off as well, who had an underrated year in KC.
Breeland comes away with the theft.
They still have Harrison Smith at safety.
Oh, intercepted! Harry the Hitman!
Yeah! Intercepted by Harrison Smith.
But his partner from the last few years, Anthony Harris, is gone.
When Anthony Harris has a chance to make plays, he makes plays.
The Vikings had difficulty with QBs partially because they couldn't take many down, 28th in sacks.
Here comes the blitz. Russ steps up, going to throw it deep.
So how about a total overhaul of their front four? The most significant new addition, an old addition really, Danielle Hunter returning after missing all of last year and at least giving them one legit pass rush threat.
Wrapped up by Hunter, Danielle Hunter.
They also will have some fresh blood to help stop the run. They gave up 4.6 per carry.
Chris Carson just runs over half of the Minnesota defense.
So plug in Dalvin Tomlinson up front. He had almost 50 tackles from the nose tackle position last year.
Stays on his feet, now he's taken down.
And behind him, they'll have Anthony Barr once again. He was out last season as well. That's more positive gains in the win column.
Coming off the edge, a four-time Pro Bowler, Anthony Barr.
They did lose Eric Wilson, though, and he represented 120-plus tackles.
And Eric Wilson is right there to tackle Chris Carson.
So the defense should be a little better, and that bodes well for their offense, which finished 11th in points per game, 4th in yards per game, 6th best in the red zone.
It's a handoff to Dalvin, lowers the helmet, bounces off a Cowboy, into the end zone. Yes, he is.
Great second effort, Dalvin.
Their O typically starts in the kitchen.
Bet I'll put you on the dirt. You ain't lifting enough weight. I ran his ass over.
But even when defenses knew what was being cooked up, they usually couldn't do much about it.
Everybody knew he was coming, and yet the Titans couldn't stop him.
Dalvin Cook is one of the best running backs in the game, and he's coming off another beastly season.
What a great run by Dalvin Cook.
His quarterback also put up some solid stats. Kirk Cousins throwing for 35 TDs against 13 picks, his rating over 100.
Out of the shotgun, fakes a handoff, throws left.
Yes! Yes!
Some wonder if that's all he is, though, a numbers guy. Either way, he built those numbers off a healthy dose of Adam Thielen.
And it is caught! Touchdown! Adam Thielen with a touchdown. He has 2.
And welcome to the show, Justin Jefferson and the Gritty.
Caught Jefferson! Touchdown!
I look cute, boy. I look cute.
The only issue for JJ, how does he top what he did as a rookie? That's a really high bar he set for himself.
By Jefferson 2015 10-5 touchdown.
And we'll see what Herb Smith Jr. does as the featured tight end.
Touchdown!
Cousins is hoping to have more time to find all those guys. His line was rated 26th by PFF, and they gave up almost 40 sacks.
Oh, it's a safety!
So they at least tried to upgrade their left tackle spot by drafting Christian Darrisaw, 23rd overall, but the rest of the group will be the same. The offense overall looks the same, the defense should be a little better, and so should their record. 1 game over 500 with a shot at postseason play. The floor isn't much lower than that. They have too much talent to be a 5-win type team, so let's call it 7-10 at the worst. Their ceiling, though, is fairly high. Maybe they get to 11-6 if the defense can make big strides. They don't have to be elite, but a solid defense with 0 drop-off from their offense should get them into the playoffs. Chicago Bears, 8 wins last year, which was enough to get them into the postseason.
Trubisky play fake, gonna roll to the near side, gonna keep it at the 5, wide open to the end zone, touchdown! Trubisky on the take, giving to Pierce, he walks in off the left side, into the end zone!
Oh, you feeling that, huh, Pop? Yeah! All right!
But backing in felt a little disappointing, and so did their 2020 offense. Fans thought they might be ready to turn a corner. Instead, their O ran into a dead end.
I just want to get in a rhythm. Everything's just choppy.
Didn't really matter who they trotted out at quarterback either. Tied for 22nd in points per game, 26th in yards per game, 22nd in the red zone, 31st on 3rd down.
And Miller unable to catch that football over the middle.
So bring in the red rifle, for now anyway. Andy Dalton showing enough late in the season last year to make Ryan Pace take a chance on him.
Fade left side of the end zone, Gallup, he's got it, 2 feet, touchdown Gallup!
How will Dalton fare though, looking over his shoulder the whole time? Because if he has a few subpar games in a row or one bad first game even, the calls for Justin Fields will begin.
Put some air underneath it and it's intercepted!
We'll save what Fields could mean to their win total for later. Right now, he's not starting. But how well set up for success are either of them? Chicago's O-line was rated 20th by PFF. They were also meddling when it came to pass protection.
Stunts are coming. He's in trouble, and down he goes. Sacked.
They did draft Tevin Jenkins in the second round, but a rookie left tackle with either a rookie QB or Dalton isn't going to move the needle much. And the fact they did little to beef up their receiving corps doesn't either. Sure, they have Allen Robinson.
Robinson the catch, breaks a tackle, 20-15, 10-5, touchdown Bears!
And they like what they saw in Darnell Mooney.
Great concentration catch into the hands of Darnell Mooney.
When I tell you that boy's fast, that boy's fast. Good God. 11?
But the only new face they brought in was Damiere Byrd.
The long ball, down the middle, for Byrd, catches, end zone!
Tariq Cohen isn't new, but he will help, being he only got in 3 games last year before he got hurt.
There's the route running skills of Cohen.
He will also help in the running game, spelling David Montgomery, who was coming off his first 1,000-yard rushing season.
Bouncing outside to the 5, stiff arm, into the end zone, touchdown, left pylon!
That's right, baby. Good job.
Chicago's defense did what it could to keep them in games, though they weren't dominant. Still, 14th fewest points per game allowed, 11th fewest yards per game allowed, 8th best on third down, 5th best in the red zone.
They don't get in. They don't get in.
Pressure, throws, incomplete, and a throw over the middle.
They made things tough on opposing rush attacks, holding teams to the 9th lowest yard per carry average. Their middle linebacker duo, one of the best in the NFL.
Roquan Smith came in on the blitz and sacked McCarron back at the 15. Third down, it's 2 play fakes. Lennon gonna throw. Hit on the blitz and slung down to the turf, and down he goes. Sack is made by Danny Trevathan.
And their front 7 pretty much returns intact, but that same front 7 needs to put more pressure on the QB. 17th in sacks for a team with Khalil Mack seems low.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day.
Mack did get home 9 times, forcing 3 fumbles.
Yeah, against the rookie, Tristan Wirfs, and he's able to work around him and get to Brady. He's got him one-on-one. I mean, he's had his hands full.
That's how you play that. That's how you play that, boy. What's up with you? What's up with you?
But all that money they threw at Robert Quinn has not paid off yet, not unless they paid him to pick up just 2 sacks for the year.
And for Quinn, that's his first sack since the first game of the year.
The lack of pressure showed up in their passing numbers too, 20th in rating allowed, 16th in yards per attempt allowed, 14th in completion percentage allowed.
Touchdown on a rainbow down the middle to Robert Tonyan.
And now they don't have Kyle Fuller either, their best corner. That can't make them better.
Busted up in the air, intercepted by Kyle Fuller at the 40. Fuller!
Desmond Trufant is being expected to take his place, and Jalen Johnson is expected to build off his rookie performance.
Going to the end zone, close to it, and broken up by Jalen Johnson.
So it pencils out to more of the same on some level. With Dalton starting behind 2 new tackles, they could actually regress a little to 7-10. Worst case, they stick with Dalton too long and they fall to 5-12. But let's talk ceiling. That's where Fields comes in. If he's the guy all those other teams missed on, like they did with Patrick Mahomes, I know, ironic, and he gets the call early enough in the year to make a difference, then a 10-win season isn't unrealistic. Detroit Lions, the Matthew Stafford era came to an end with just 5 wins, but it wasn't so much the offense's fault as much as it was a defense that was record-breakingly bad. Dead last in points per game allowed and yards per game allowed, 28th on third down, 31st in the red zone.
End zone caught touchdown.
Want some more last place stats? Rating allowed over 110, yards per attempt allowed a fat 8.5, and only 2 teams gave up more passing yards per game.
Unbelievable. Beat Tony McRae on the play.
Thing is, they are relying on the same group of DBs for the most part. Jeff Okudah, the one they're expecting improves the most.
And is Jeff Okudah still on his feet and knocked out of bounds?
The secondary would benefit from some semblance of a pass rush. They finished tied for 26th in sacks. Adding Michael Brockers should help a little on this front.
Maybe knock the ball around a little bit. You know, hey, do what we got to do.
And so will having Trey Flowers for all 17 games, the 2 of them giving their W total a slight nudge.
Gotta get hit! Gotta get sacked! The ball is loose!
Their linebacking core was led by Jamie Collins.
How much you weigh, man? Goddamn, 280, man. My man's weight.
But they don't have any other impact players at the second level, which is why they gave up 4.4 yards per carry.
Will Harris had a shot at him and just couldn't wrap him up.
The offense. It is now in the hands of Jared Goff.
Goff's biggest find of the afternoon is to Cooper Kupp.
Keep going for us. Keep going. I love that. Man, I love that.
Goff clearly has shown he's capable, but Sean McVay has a team that's ready to win now and wanted Stafford instead of him. That's an indicator that what we saw from Goff last year might be the real Goff, and that means a drop-off in QB play and wins. And who's Goff gonna throw to? No more Kenny Golladay.
Oh, Kenny Golladay, you want something?
No more Marvin Jones. And no more Danny Amendola either.
Open as Amendola. That's a first down into Bears territory.
Which leaves TJ Hawkinson.
Yes, touchdown Detroit Lions, TJ Hawkinson.
Newcomer Brashad Perriman.
Flacco looks downfield off 1 foot, fires a bomb up the right seam, and it's caught by Perriman. 10-5 touchdown.
And, well, it gets thin after that. At least he'll have an elite lineman in front of him, the Lions using the number 7 overall pick on Penei Sewell, who joins a line that wasn't half bad, 14th in PFF's book, which helped DeAndre Swift hit at a very healthy 4.6 yards per carry.
How do my shoulder pads taste?
But let's not sugarcoat things. Dan Campbell and company have a very tough road ahead. 2-15 won't feel great, but they have so many holes to fill. That represents their floor too, so let's just talk ceiling. Goff plays like the Super Bowl year Goff, and the coaching staff gets the defense to play at least better than last year. They could pick up a few more dubs and get to 5-12. Dallas Cowboys, that roster from 2020 put up 6 wins. Main culprit for that record, Dak's injury.
Boy, and he's hurt. Dak Prescott's hurt.
In his place, bunch of guys, mostly Andy Dalton, but if you include Prescott's numbers, Dallas got 25 TDs, 13 interceptions, a rating right near 90 from the position. Not terrible, really.
Cut it! Okay.
So what does a whole season of Dak equal? Let's say 2 wins.
Woo! Yeah! Let's go!
His wide receivers, they're the reason a revolving door at QB was able to put up decent numbers.
Down the left side for Gallup. He's got it.
They're all back.
They CD rolling! They CD rolling!
And they're all A-level guys.
A slant to Cooper at the goal line, and he's got it for the Cowboys touchdown.
Zeke, down year. So question, was it a fluke, just a reflection of Prescott not being there, or is he approaching the dreaded running back cliff?
Nah, the ball's out. It's out.
Let's say he's back over the 1,000-yard barrier. Give him around 1,200. That's another half win at least.
To the 5. Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott.
Let's go! Keep going now. Keep going. Got you. Let's go.
Elliott, in theory, is good again, because in theory, their line will be good again. Ranked 28th by PFF last year. 28th? They were the gold standard of O-lines just a few years ago. But Tyron Smith was hurt. La'el Collins didn't even play. If they're both in the lineup and they both get 14 games in, that's another half win.
Let's go. Right there. Standard, right? Standard. That's the standard.
Defense. There was very little D up front when it came to stopping the run.
Walks into the end zone.
They beating us. They beating us.
They were bottom of the barrel in yards per carry allowed and yards per game allowed, and they did little to really address that issue when it comes to the DT position. But they did add Keanu Neal at safety, and he had 100 tackles in 2020.
He is being erased by the hard-hitting safety, Keanu Neal.
They also drafted Micah Parsons in the first round, and if they can get Leighton Vander Esch on the field more than the 10 games he played last year, there is no way they should be as bad against the run again, and that's worth a slight bump.
Hey! Nico! Nico!
Stopping the pass, 11th in yards per game allowed, but 26th in rating allowed. Yards per attempt and TDs allowed, both south of average.
Into the end zone, touchdown!
They lost 2 starters from their secondary too, Chidobe Awuzie and Xavier Woods. They also lost Aldon Smith up front, second on the team with 5 sacks.
It's fumbled and it's being run back by Aldon Smith.
Those are all vets, and altogether we'll say they're a half game worse without them, because none of them had eye-popping seasons. And is DeMarcus Lawrence going to show up this year?
Rushed, hit, thrown in the backfield.
2 seasons in a row with under 7 sacks? This defense is going to be young. Dallas used a second and third pick on DBs, and they used 2 third-rounders on D linemen. But that's a winning record in a 17-game slate. 9-8, their schedule isn't going to be a walk in the park, and 9 wins in this case could still get them the division. Dallas's fortunes are very much tied to their health. If they can't shake the injury bug, and it turns out they tried to rely too heavily on rookies for their defense, it's a 6-11 year. But best case, everyone's healthy. They end up with one of those young and up-and-coming defenses. Zeke goes for like 1,500 yards. Dak puts up 35-plus TDs. You're looking at a 12-5 squad. Washington football team, 7 wins and a sense that things are turning around. And how could they not be with that defense?
Big blitz up the middle. Down goes Wentz.
You know, at the beginning of the season, they talk about the Washington football team. What is that? What now, though?
4th fewest points per game allowed, 2nd fewest yards per game, 6th best on 3rd down, and 4th best in the red zone.
Young caused a big turnover, crashing into Burrow.
They made that happen by making things brutal on QBs. 3rd lowest rating allowed, 3rd lowest completion percentage allowed, 2nd fewest passing yards per game allowed.
There you go. It's picked up by Jimmy Garland. Breaks through a tackle.
The secondary welcomes back 3 of the 4 starters from last year, too.
Who fires up the middle, and the pass is intercepted by Landon Collins.
It's Teddy Bridgewater on the arm. It's popped up in the air, and it is intercepted by Cameron Curl, who is tripped down at the 39.
Lamar Jackson just threw an interception. Picked off on the play, and then it's Kendall Fuller.
They did lose Ronald Darby at one corner spot, and he was good for them, but nabbing William Jackson coming off a solid year should balance that loss out.
Up throws, picked, intercepted, and back the other way, William Jackson.
Touchdown and 3 and out. Touchdown and 3 and out.
Washington DBs clearly benefited from that pass rush of theirs.
Woo! Fresh meat.
6th most QB takedown.
Hit again by Montez Sweat and John Allen. Lost the ball.
Come on, let's go, dude.
And go ahead and try and find a front 4 this young and this good. Go for it. I'll wait.
And
there you go.
Is Montez Sweat, who beat the block and sacks Wentz.
Bridgewater pushed backwards. It's a sack for Washington. Deron Payne. Another one of those first-round picks.
On 3rd down. Pressure up the middle. Mayfield in trouble. Down he goes. Jonathan Allen with the sack. 12 sacks for the NFL leaders, that Washington defense.
Steps up, hit from behind. Chase Young knocked the ball out and recovers it. Fumble and recovery by Chase Young.
Yes, sir. Come on.
And Chase Young is just scratching the surface. Expect his sack total to go up, and that in turn sends their win total up.
Picked up by Chase Young. He's running at the 45-40. Has blockers in front of him. Touchdown, Chase Young.
As for their rush defense, 4.2 yards per carry, not a terrible figure to give up.
Oh yeah, I came to stick. You know that. Come on.
And there is hope they might even be better there because they used their number 19 overall pick on Jamin Davis, so they finally might have a franchise linebacker type in the middle. So the defense appears to be just as stout as last year's group, so the hope is the offense can catch up a little. And if that's going to happen, they have to get better production from the QB spot.
Back to throw is Allen. Under pressure, and he lost the football.
Alex Smith and the other Washington signal callers combined to throw for just 16 TDs, matching that total in picks, a rating of just 80.1.
It is picked off by Jabril Peppers. It was over his head. Peppers picks it off.
But they think they'll get more than that this season, either from Taylor Heineke.
Heineke, pocket collapses. He ducks his head, somehow gets out of it. He's running to the left side, to the 5, diving for the end zone. Is he in?
Oh, touchdown. I play with 4 any day of the week. Any day. He a tough.
Or from the bearded one. Fitzmagic had a 95.6 rating last year, but is either guy really the missing piece?
Ryan Fitzpatrick goes almost a perfect game at the 49ers today.
Whoever they roll with will still have Terry McLaurin, a budding star.
Throws over the middle of the field, finds McLaurin, who cuts through a tackle at the 40, 35-30.
What up, 17?
20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Touchdown, Washington!
Logan Thomas, who broke out last year.
He's going to lob one left for Logan Thomas, who makes the catch to get his feet in. Yes, for the touchdown.
And they picked up Curtis Samuel, who's also worth a slight bump.
Yes, sir. Touchdown. Carolina.
But what about all those sacks? They gave up a half a bill's worth last year.
Aaron Donald's on his back.
Odd, too, because PFF graded their O-line third best in pass blocking, inferring it was the QB holding the ball too long on a lot of those sacks.
Heineke's in trouble, and he is sacked.
Either way, they bring back 4 of the 5 starters, and they were gifted Charles Leno, who will slide in for the departed Morgan Moses. That group will see if they can keep up opening lanes for Antonio Gibson, who shined as a rookie.
They will keep doing it until you stop it.
So the needle doesn't move much, but it doesn't need to in their division, and they'll be right in the thick of the race again. It all comes down to the QB, though. They have most of the other needed parts in place. The floor for them isn't too different. You're talking about a game difference. The ceiling, though, is much more intriguing with them because if the QB puts up like 30 TD passes combined with that D, they could make a run to like 11-6 and be that team that nobody wants to face in the playoffs. Philadelphia Eagles, just 4 wins in Carson Wentz's last run with the team, a run that ended with a dud.
They've got him. It wasn't even close.
Philly finished 26th in points per game, tied for 24th in yards per game, 28th on third down.
Wentz back. Here comes the rush. He's sacked. He had no prayer.
So late in the season came the switch, and with it, newfound hope.
It is 4th and 2. There's Hurts. He's back. He is floating the football. It is caught. Touchdown to Alshon Jeffrey.
A great throw by the quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
Keep it up, Bubba. Keep playing. Keep playing. Keep being loud and take a charge, dude.
Jalen Hurts takes over behind center. The question is, what will they get from him as a passer? His numbers in his few starts weren't necessarily eye-opening.
He's looking. He steps up. He fires. And it is intercepted.
What he did as a runner, on the other hand, was impressive and makes you wonder if the Eagles might go a little Baltimore with their playbook.
He cuts back. He dives forward. He lunges. He is in for the touchdown!
At the very least, it feels like a full year of Hurts' unpredictability will make them tougher to defend, so let's give them an extra win for it.
Hurts back. He's looking. He is going deep down the field, and it is caught.
The Eagles are trying to build up their receiving core. They drafted Devontae Smith with the number 10 overall pick. He joins Dallas Goedert, who is primed to become their tight end number 1 for the first time in his career.
He is looping it. It is caught. It is a touchdown to Goedert.
And they're hoping to see an uptick from Jalen Reagor.
That's going to be caught, and does he break the plane? Reagor, yes he does. Touchdown, Philadelphia.
It would go a long way if their O-line could protect Hurts. No team gave up more sacks than the Eagles, and by a wide margin.
If this is how you're going to play the game, it's not going to go well for you this afternoon.
Now, PFF didn't think a lot of those sacks were their Big Ugly's fault. They rated them 18th overall. They will inject some new life into it, though. Andre Dillard and Brandon Brooks both return after missing 2020. Both represent upgrades, which upgrades their win total as well.
We got to bring each other energy, boys. Let's go!
While the line may have had trouble with pass protection, the same cannot be said about their run blocking. Both their backs and Hurts all finding plenty of space to work with.
Touchdown! Miles Sanders! He exploded! Got 50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20. Down the sideline he goes!
Philly has almost just as much ground to make up on defense. 20th in points per game allowed last year, 19th most yards per game allowed, 26th in the red zone.
Over the middle, there's Chase Claypool. Steps out of a tackle.
The biggest weakness, their secondary. Only 4 teams gave up a higher passer rating, and they were 26th in yards per attempt allowed, 27th in completion percentage allowed.
He's not there quickly enough, so they're able to get it to their big tight end.
Doesn't help they lost Jalen Mills either, one of the few DBs they had that played the pass well.
Bounced off the chest of the receiver and into the arms of Jalen Mills.
But Anthony Harris takes his spot, and his career resume leads one to believe he should be enough to cover Mills' production.
All he does is make plays.
It's sort of surprising they had so many problems with aerial attacks because their front did a great job at getting to the QB, 3rd most sacks in football.
They've got him!
Football is out.
It's out. TJ Edwards made the hit, and the Eagles are going to pick it up.
And there should be no drop-off, being they added Ryan Kerrigan to the mix.
What a familiar sight that's been over the years, the franchise's all-time sack leader.
He joins a D-line that brings back all its starters, too, and it is one of the better front 4s in the game.
Fletcher Cox just fights through that offensive line with ease.
He is being hit, he is being sacked, and the Eagles recover.
Oh! Yes, sir!
Those guys also made it tough on runners.
And he is going backwards.
And they picked up Eric Wilson for their linebacking core. And when you add a 120-plus tackle guy like him, it means you should be a little bit better.
And he's going to get spun down by Eric Wilson.
Also new in town is the coaching staff led by Nick Sirianni, who takes over a team that seems to be in transition. 6-11 represents a baby step forward, but it's a step forward. Hard to picture them going backwards from a 4-win campaign, but if Hurts isn't the answer, they could repeat that feat and go 4-13. But if Hurts ends up having a Lamar-like impact on their O, they can definitely cobble together a few more W's, and in their division, a 9-8 record would make them champs. New York Giants, 6 wins last year, though that was enough to keep them in the division race, but if they're hoping to up that total, they have to be able to put some points on the board.
Pressure coming, Jones is sacked.
31st in points per game, 31st in yards per game, 29th on third down, 31st in the red zone. Ouch.
Jones back, throws right for Lewis, and it's incomplete.
Keeping Daniel Jones upright more often would help. 50 sacks allowed last year from a line rated 31st by PFF.
Smelling blood in the water.
Lots of rookies on that line, though, so the hope is they'll be better in year 2.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day.
Jones could really use the extra time. The jury is still out on him after he only managed 11 TDs against 10 picks in his 14 games.
Steps up, rolls right, throws right, and the pass intercepted!
He'll be working with the trio of pass catchers he had last year.
I'm going to lean him out a little bit and then go to the post.
Looking for his receiver, and he's got him for the touchdown. Darius Slayton on the post, Evan Ingram. Touchdown, Giants! He ran him up the seam, and Ingram held on. Round for Shepard. He's got a block. He's got room to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Dives for the end zone, and is he in? Touchdown, Giants!
You already know what time it is. Young Savage, turn up.
But the Giants also used the number 20 overall pick on Kadarius Toney, and they signed Kenny Golladay.
The field caught. Yes. Golladay, touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Jones is also hoping to throw a little less, being Saquon Barkley will return. Having him back for a whole year, worth a full win.
He turns a 5-yarder into a 30-yarder very fast.
And what if he gets hurt again? Then you turn to new addition Devontae Booker.
Booker headed for the end zone. Yeah, baby.
Let's turn to the D now. This was the team's strength, 9th fewest points per game allowed, 12th fewest yards per game, and 2nd best in the red zone.
Dalton sidearms it into the end zone, and it's intercepted by the Giants. Picked off by Xavier McKinney. The rookie gets his first career interception and seals the deal for Big Blue.
They made things tough on backs. Their 4.1 yards per carry allowed was 8th lowest. Losing Dalvin Tomlinson, a nose tackle that gave them almost 50 tackles, though, doesn't help. But adding Danny Shelton to take his place should offset it.
Rivers is wrapped up. Danny Shelton.
They did not lose Leonard Williams, though, and he isn't just potentially good anymore. He's a beast.
Leonard Williams. He's got 2.5 sacks today.
He led a pass rush that tied for the 12th most sacks.
Got under pressure, and he's going to get sacked.
The secondary finished in the average zone by most metrics, 17th in rating allowed, tied for 16th in passing yards per game, 15th in yards per attempt allowed.
That's the chunk play that they could not afford to give up.
James Bradbury, though, more than held up his end.
This is why James Bradbury was signed in the offseason, to be that number 1 corner against a team's number 1 receiver.
And they liked what they saw from both of their safeties.
I'm here. I'm here. We stay in it while we in it, bro. I don't give what the score is. Bro, I can't get a hand, bro. I can't get a hand.
Their D overall feels like it's in similar shape to 2020. They didn't make any major changes to it, and despite the roster being a little better, the prediction dips to 6-11. No floor for them, though, that sort of covers it. It's about Danny Dimes, though, in the end. He will dictate how high the ceiling can be, and I'll just say it. This is the team I think that has the most potential to surprise people and turn predictions like 6-11 upside down. If the line is better, Saquon is out there doing Saquon things, and Jones can live up to his potential, they win the division with a 10-7 record. Buffalo Bills, 13 wins last year, and like a Spinal Tap amp, Bills Mafia expectations are now set to 11, and why not? Josh Allen coming off a huge breakout campaign.
That's how you do that! That's how you do that!
Allen saved his legs for the goal line for the most part and worked on his passing game. Seems to have paid off.
That was too easy, man. Come on.
Could he be better in 2021? Team was second in points per game, second in yards per game, third most passing yards per game, tops on third down.
Touchdown! Touchdown, Buffalo!
Better believe in us now. And if we don't see Josh Allen for MVP, we're not watching y'all no more.
Allen better have taken Stephon Diggs out for dinner after the season because Mr. Diggs was a big reason Allen made his leap.
Stephon Diggs makes the catch! Touchdown, Buffalo!
Well, they pay me the big bucks.
Cole Beasley, almost a K from the slot.
I mean, that's a guy that's, 5'9"? And he went up the ladder and pulled that in with one hand.
Can't forget Gabriel Davis.
Joshy, put that one in there. Money.
And go ahead and add Emmanuel Sanders to the bunch, and you've got one deep receiving core.
Sanders for the touchdown.
Bills O-line, PFF had him ranked 10th, gave up the 9th fewest sacks. 4 of the 5 starters are back.
Body blows. Over and over and over.
Buffalo wasn't really a running team last year, but they were solid when they did. Both their backs were 4.3 yards per carry or better.
I like that.
Josh hands it off. Zach Moss has an alley into the end zone. He is in. Touchdown, Buffalo.
The Bills O only got better in the offseason without suffering any losses, and you could pretty much say the same about their D.
Let's get nasty. Let's get nasty.
But it's a defense that finished in the middle of the pack, 16th in points per game allowed, 14th in yards per game allowed.
Reset, baby. Reset right back on it. Reset right back on it.
Pass rush performed in a similar fashion, 15th in sacks.
Herbert pressured. He's sacked. Now the ball comes out. Loose ball at the 20-yard line. Chargers recover.
They used their first 2 draft picks on D ends, so they may be able to harass the QB a little more. But their front 7 is the same, and it's a front 7 that also gave up 4.6 yards per carry on the ground.
And he is going to take it in untouched.
The strength of the D is on the back end. They helped hold QBs to the 5th lowest rating, 9th lowest yards per attempt, and tied for the 7th most interceptions.
Fires it, is picked off. Intercepted by Taron Johnson in midfield. Running down the right sideline. He's going to score.
Tre'Davious White, elite.
Intercepted by Tre'Davious White.
But Levi Wallace deserves more praise for what he's been doing across the way.
We good-ass defense, bro.
And they'll have the same 2 dudes backing them up.
Micah Hyde for Buffalo.
Fires into the end zone. Intercepted. Picked up by Jordan Poyer in the end zone.
The entire starting unit returning intact should help them clean up some of the areas they got dinged in, like being 28th in the red zone, so another half win for continuity.
It is Buffalo ball. Cam Newton fumbled at the 12-yard line and the Bills recover.
So, notice the needle didn't really move. Team is just as good as last year, so going to leave their win total at 13, more than enough to win them the division. Worst case scenario, Allen regresses, defense isn't able to make any strides, Patriots rebound and are back sweeping them, 10-7.
Do you hunt at all?
So yeah, I mean, coyote, rabbit, just small game around the house. Nothing, I haven't done any big games.
But in their best case scenario, that will have changed. Allen and company are definitely good enough to hunt the biggest game the NFL has to offer, a shot at the Lombardi, off a 15-2 regular season record. Miami Dolphins, a nice fat 10 wins last year, but with the rebound come expectations, and most of them will land on their QB.
Back to throw, looking blitz. Touchdown!
Oh, it felt so good when it came out.
The clock has officially struck Tua time. Tagovailoa will take the reins right out of the gate. His numbers weren't bad for a rook.
Hey, dude, we played 17 plays in the first half coming off a bye, bro. Your first start. Proud of you.
But Miami's offense wasn't overly electric with Tua taking snaps. Lots of dump-offs and quick slants.
Looks to throw. Fires it left side. Intercepted.
His progression will mostly be measured on how well he can connect on some deep throws. And it's not like he doesn't have the weapons to do it. Devontae Parker is back.
Oh, Devontae Parker!
Guess who?
So is his trusted tight end, Mike Gesicki.
Corner of the end zone. Gesicki got it!
They used the number 6 overall pick on Jalen Waddle, and they gave him Will Fuller.
I mean, just killing him all day long.
With the receiving core that deep, let's nudge their win total up a half notch.
Touchdown! What a call!
They also made some changes to their O-line, which was needed, being they were ranked 29th by PFF.
That game felt so good, though.
3 of the 5 starters are back, and 3 of those guys were rookies last year, so the assumption is they will all improve.
Yeah!
Miami's ground game would certainly welcome improved line play. Only 3 teams had a lower yard per carry average.
And this is where it's troublesome from an offensive line who's young.
And it's not that they don't have a couple capable runners.
Ahmed turning on the speed. Jones with him.
2nd and 4. And hand it off to Gaskin. He's got a hole up the middle inside the 10.
None of Miami's offensive numbers last year jumped off the page. 15th in points per game, 22nd in yards per game, 27th in third down.
From his own end zone, being harassed, it will be a safety!
But some of their defensive numbers did stand out. The biggest, holding teams to the 6th fewest points per game.
He dropped the football, it's on the ground!
They were also the hardest team to convert a third down against, and they were 7th toughest in the red zone.
Let's go. Got him.
Their defensive strength was the secondary, 6th lowest rating allowed, 7th lowest completion percentage allowed, tied for 2nd fewest TD passes allowed.
Flush to his right, being chased, throws it downfield, picked off.
All of that fits a DB core that features the league's interception leader.
One-handed, comes down, holy smokes.
They're banking on 2nd-rounder Javon Holland to pick up some of the slack that will be created by losing Bobby McCain at safety, and he was tough on QBs.
But it's a great technique play by Bobby McCain right there to put their offense right back into business.
Their pass rush also played a role in their success last year, tied for the 10th most sacks.
Ball comes out, the Dolphins pick it up.
Emmanuel Ogbah led the charge on that front.
The throw against it, it's a fumble. The ball's on the ground. It's Van Ginkel going to the end zone.
They drafted Jalen Phillips in the 1st round too, but they also let versatile Kyle Van Noy go.
That goes as a sack for Van Noy.
Miami wasn't great against the run, 4.5 a carry allowed. So not very much movement on the win meter with this bunch. Gonna keep them at 10 wins, which might be considered a success if Tua plays all 17 games. The floor for this squad could be as low as 6-11. There is no Fitzmagic waiting in the wings to bail them out this time, and there are plenty of folks in the NFL world that have doubts about Tua. Best case, though, the game slows down for him. He utilizes all of his receivers and finds them downfield more often, and the Dolphins go 12-5. New England Patriots, 7 wins in 2020, better known as Year 1 sans TB12, and it did not go well for his replacement.
This will make headlines throughout the NFL. Cam Newton benched. He threw 3 interceptions.
Cam Newton looked like he was playing with kryptonite in his back pocket most games. More interceptions than TDs, a rating under 85.
No, Cam! That's picked off and goodbye.
It was Year 1 in a new system, and no matter what anyone claims, he was trying to fill the biggest shoes in all of football. But we've all seen what he's capable of.
Pretty. Put a bow on that one.
That's why I'm here.
And because he can't possibly play that poorly again, let's give them an extra half win.
I'm a dog, bro. You could have ran him again.
To be fair, it was a little harder to connect on passes with that receiving core he was working with, so they completely overhauled it. Jules retired, they said goodbye to Damiere Byrd and Ryan Izzo, and in comes all sorts of new faces.
Grabbed by Aguilar, who's free at the 40, 35, 30, touchdown.
Play fake, Tannehill rolling, throwing, catching, Smith, touchdown, Titans!
Beathard out of the backfield, has time, and will rip this downfield, and the jump ball caught. Bourne catches.
Herbert shotgun snap to pass. Throws to the back corner of the end zone, caught! Touchdown Chargers! Herbert to Henry.
They are being counted on to improve a passing attack that was 30th in yards per game and an offense that was 27th in both points per game and yards per game.
That's our catch and tuck drill right there. That's our catch and tuck drill right there. Put it away.
And it doesn't seem possible that they won't, so collectively let's have them push that football up another spot.
That's it! That's it! That's the way to go!
O-line is pretty much the same group. 4 of the 5 starters are back. They were ranked 2nd best by PFF, too.
Stutter step, runs it to the 35-30.
Losing Joe Toney hurts, but they welcome back Trent Brown, so that's a wash. And that's good news for their ground game, which hit at a very healthy 4.7 yards per carry.
Running it right, Harris into the end zone untouched.
They had 2 different backs hit at 5+ yards a pop, too.
Here's the gift to Michelle. Some great cuts by Michelle. One more. And Morrow finally able to ride him down.
And Newton used his legs plenty as well, especially around the goal line.
Got it.
Yeah.
The offseason remodel job also applied to the Pats D, though it wasn't starting in quite as deep a hole as the offense was, 15th in yards per game allowed, 7th fewest points per game allowed.
Tipped and intercepted by Devin McCourty, running down the right side.
Their secondary helped hold teams to the 9th lowest rating, 8th fewest passing yards per game.
Where's back? Goes to the left side, intercepted by J.C. Jackson. Go, 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 go!
Go ahead and try and find a better pair of corners at this point. It's not going to be easy.
Flips that ball, intercepted by Gilmore, the reigning player of the year, with Fitzpatrick to throw to the end zone, intercepted by J.C. Jackson. He picks it off with a throw intended for Gesicki, the tight end.
And not only do the rest of their secondary mates return with them, they also added the versatile Jalen Mills, too.
And it is Jalen Mills who picks it off on deflection.
New England had the NFL's lowest pressure rate, though, and they tied for 26th in sacks, so they addressed it. Come on back, Kyle Van Noy.
Van Noy, third sack of the day.
Come on in, Matthew Judon.
Haskins in trouble, and Haskins is dragged down.
And get back out there, Dante Hightower.
Allen stepping up into trouble. The ball is very free.
Individually, none of them are double-digit sack type of guys, but collectively, they are an upgrade worth at least another win.
Under pressure, he's sacked, and Adam Butler is there again.
Hightower will also make a difference when it comes to stopping the run. They gave up 4.5 a carry, and so will a number of other new faces that are being plugged in up front.
Goodness, you need some syrup for that pancake.
So that gets them back over 500 and in the fight for that last new playoff spot. Much of that dependent on the QB position, providing them better production than it did last year, and we're all aware if Cam struggles early, Mac Jones is waiting. And he's sort of the worst case scenario. If they do have to make the switch mid-season, it means things aren't going great. In that scenario, they're likely finishing 7-10. But the ceiling with this team is high because, well, it's always high with the hooded one over there on the sideline. And if Cam can get back to his Superman level, this team could be scary, 12-5, and fans at Foxborough won't be missing Brady anymore. Okay, they won't miss him as much. New York Jets 2-14 last year. That meant all sorts of changes starting at the top. The Robert Saleh era is ready to begin.
If you want to be great, you got to be detailed. You can't be half-ass.
And so is the Zach Wilson era, the Jets ditching Sam Darnold in hopes of pulling off an Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen 2.0 kind of thing. It won't take much for Wilson to outperform Darnold, so let's go on the belief that he's worth an extra W. The reason it's easy to believe Wilson will make the Jets better, the offense can't be worse than it was last year. Last in points per game, yards per game, third down percentage, and red zone. That's one heck of a golden sombrero.
Sam tried to force this one in there.
They were also 31st in passing yards per game, but the Jets are at least trying to equip Wilson with some better pass catchers, landing Corey Davis in free agency.
At the 30, at the 20, puts on a move to the 15, to the 10, another move to the 5.
Along with Keelan Cole.
Wide open is Cole for the touchdown.
They join returning wideouts Jamison Crowder.
Loops a pass down the right sideline. Wide open at the 5. It's Crowder.
And rookie Denzel Mims, who the Jets are expecting to build off his rookie campaign.
Comes up with an acrobatic 27-yard reception.
That group is much deeper than last year, so we're going to say that's worth another win too. The O-line responsible for protecting Wilson did not do a great job of protecting Darnold. 24th in sacks allowed, rated 27th by PFF.
An ugly finish to an ugly Jets loss.
They did spend another first-round pick on a lineman, though, Elijah Vera Tucker, who joins last year's first-round pick, Mekhi Becton, who had a solid first year at left tackle, so they're working on it. And an improved line would mean an improved run game, too. No more Frank Gore, but with no clear number one, they'll roll with a committee approach.
Darnold to give. Judson springing free. This will be a first down run.
And here is Tevin Coleman by the burst. Coleman racing to the end zone.
Not sure either of them is going to move the needle, though, but can anyone on defense? It wasn't much better than the offense. 26th in points per game allowed, 24th in yards per game allowed, 24th on third down.
Sweeps it outside. There's no containment. The quarter gets blocked out.
They just couldn't stop many QBs. Only 3 teams gave up a higher rating. Only 2 gave up a higher completion percentage.
That was too easy, man. Come on.
They did sign LaMarcus Joyner to take one of the safety spots, and Marcus May is a star in the making.
Wants it all, throws it deep downfield. I think they're going to say this is an interception.
That's an incredible interception.
That was a ridiculous catch. He was squeezing it on his ass.
But their corners are the same, so they're banking on the new staff to coach them up better.
Hopkins was blanketed by a Jet, but it don't matter.
That staff also hoping to get more of a pass rush going.
Good rush, 3-4.
They do at least have Quinnen Williams.
Four-man rush, pressure comes, and it's Quinnen Williams, his 7th sack of the year.
But he needs help, so they brought in Vinny Curry.
And he can't avoid the sack. Vinny Curry.
And Carl Lawson, 2 additions that might get them another half step up the meter.
And this time Lawson reps him up.
The one thing the Jets did well last year, stop the run. One of the few teams that held ball carriers to 4 yards per carry or lower.
Quarterback sneak. Baker Mayfield coughs the ball up on 4th down.
And they could be even better since they'll have CJ Mosley back.
And picked off Mosley. He'll take it in.
So it's not a huge jump. We're going to round it down to 4 wins, but if Wilson looks the part, Fireman Ed can finally feel a sense of hope for the future. Worst case scenario, somehow Wilson is no better than Darnold was, and there was just way too many new faces to properly gel. More or less, that's a repeat of last year, 2-15 and picking in the top 3 in the draft again. Best case scenario, though, Wilson explodes onto the scene and has a Justin Herbert type rookie year. That's a 7-10 type season. I want to maybe even say 8-9, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unless you were hiding under an NFL rock last year, you know they won it all.
Bucs are the Super Bowl champs.
The scary thing is they only won 11 games while doing it. Tom Brady taking some time getting acclimated, but once he did, it all fell into place.
Brady to throw, throws a deep pass downfield. Got Scotty Miller in the open. Makes the catch. Touchdown Tampa Bay.
Tampa's offense finished 3rd in points per game, 7th in yards per game, 2nd in passing yards per game. The receivers Brady worked with, all back.
Yeah! Give us that ball! Scramble drill left. What's up, Cheetah? Yeah, I'm good, Brody.
Goes toward the end zone into the caught ball. Touchdown Tampa Bay, Mike Evans. Caught ball. Touchdown Chris Godwin. Touchdown Tampa Bay.
Guess who's back?
Brady throws toward the end zone. Got a receiver open. It's Antonio Brown. Touchdown Tampa Bay.
Let's show him I still got that.
A young rock star.
A young rockster. Let's show him I'm still young, Griff.
Long pass toward the end zone. Gronkowski, he makes the catch. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Here's a pass toward the left side. Caught ball. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Cameron Brate lined up on the left edge.
Continuity is going to be a theme for Tampa, and it can be very valuable. Let's say it's worth 1 full win in their passing game's case. The line that gave Brady time to figure things out is also back intact. All 5 starters from a group that gave up the 4th fewest sacks and was ranked 5th by PFF return. So let's give him another half-game bump there too.
Yeah!
The Bucs' run game wasn't super consistent, but it wasn't called upon all that much. But when Brady does turn to hand it off, he'll still have 2 different guys who showed they can make an impact.
It'll be a 98-yard touchdown run by Ronald Jones II. Here's the snap, run the ball to the right. Got a blind boy to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Tampa Bay.
So barring injuries, there doesn't seem to be any reason the Bucs won't be just as adept as they were last year at hanging plenty of points on the board.
He makes the catch. Touchdown Tampa Bay.
What about their ability to keep points off the board?
Get out of here, man.
8th fewest per game last season, 6th fewest yards per game. The D's strength found in its front 7. They tied for the 4th most sacks, and I'll go ahead and serve up another helping of continuity because the guys who took down all those QBs all return.
And Ndamukong Suh with a collision, and the Bucs get the ball back. Blitz up the middle, blitz toward the end zone. He will be sacked in the back in the end zone. It's a safety for the Buccaneers.
It was Shaq Barrett.
Ryan dropping back under pressure. He's going to be lassoed and sacked at the chin by Devin White.
Hey, man, run something else, man. That thing ain't working, man.
And forget trying to run on the Bucs. No one gave up a lower yard per carry figure than their 3.6.
McCaffrey, nothing there against this front. Vita Vea, the big man, up front with the stop.
Kamara bottled up again, and David was the first one through.
Yeah, this is a really nice job inside. And
As for their back end, it wasn't a strength per se, but it wasn't a weakness either. Carlton Davis, their top corner.
That's in the air and picked. Back the other way, Carlton Davis.
Jamel Dean also emerging as a solid cover guy.
Picked off down the sideline. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Tampa Bay.
Both their safeties are also the same, and because their DB core is so young, we're going with the idea they'll improve, and that's another half game up the ladder. The offseason slogan in Tampa was, "Let's run it back," and they were able to bring back all the key bodies to make that happen. And that's why it's hard to spot an area where they're prone to regression. So let's say they put up a 13-4 record and remain a threat to go back-to-back. Worst case scenario, Father Time finally catches up to Brady, and his arm does a late career Peyton Manning. The offense in that case takes a few steps backwards, and they end up at 10-7.
And Tom Brady thinking he has one more down.
But people have been wondering about that possibility for years, and it's yet to happen.
Can any quarterback in the league throw that pass any better than Tom Brady just did?
Best case scenario, obviously they repeat the feat, let's say on the back of a 15-2 record, at which point Brady would seem more myth than man. New Orleans Saints, 12 W's in 2020, but fans will be using that old slogan a little differently this year. It'll be more like, who dat at quarterback, because it'll be the first time in over a decade New Orleans enters a season without number 9 behind center.
Does the change at quarterback energize them, or does the change at quarterback make everyone kind of deflate a little bit? I think it's a question we're going to figure out here pretty soon.
And Drew Brees was a big reason the Saints offense finished 5th in points per game, were 5th in the red zone, and 8th best on third down.
Touchdown, Saints!
So who ends up being the long-term answer? You've got Jameis Winston. You just never know which version of him you're going to get. The Jekyll version?
To Mike Evans, touchdown!
Or the Hyde?
Well, the pocket's there, and I don't know where Jameis is thrown.
Or is it the NFL human Swiss Army knife?
Running out to his left, looking downfield, he's going to tuck it and run at the 10, the 5, touchdown! Brees throws, has Taysom Hill wide open, touchdown Saints!
Taysom Hill and Winston both have potential, so hard to say the guy they go with out of the gate makes it all the way through the season. Either way, neither guy is Brees, and out of respect for the future Hall of Famer, that's a 2-game dip on our win meter.
Brady and Brees come together for what is likely the final time on a football field.
Their receiving core also took a hit, losing Jared Cook.
Jared Cook, touchdown!
And Emmanuel Sanders, losses that amount to dropping another rung on the win ladder.
Sanders for the touchdown!
They are banking on Traquan Smith making some kind of a leap.
Caught, touchdown Traquan Smith!
But Michael Thomas won't be there to start the year. Injuries continuing to plague him, and that's a troubling sign to start the season.
A touchdown to Michael Thomas.
Whoever is dropping back will at least have the luxury of having one of the greatest safety valves in the game.
You want to talk about a signature play? Good Lord, Alvin Kamara, how many tackles, Deuce? 6?
You got to go and score. I mean, you can't do this in high school.
Alvin Kamara's pass-catching abilities are equaled by his abilities when he totes the rock, too.
For space on the right side towards the goal line. Touchdown, Alvin Kamara! So Alvin Kamara, with his 6th rushing touchdown of the game, ties the most ever.
And he'll have Latavius Murray to spell him, and he proved to be a fine speller when they called upon him.
To Latavius Murray with a great cut, and he's off and running.
The line that blocks for all those guys, all back, and one of the better lines in football. PFF ranked them 9th. They tied for the 11th fewest sacks.
Hell yeah!
And they paved the way for a ground game that hit at 4.6 a pop. Anytime you get all 5 starters from a line that did all that to come back, it's worth something. In this case, let's say a half a game.
Touchdown, Alvin Kamara!
So what about the D?
It's on us!
5th fewest points per game, 4th fewest yards per game allowed, 9th best on third down.
That ball's intercepted at the 50.
Pass rush played a big role in all that, 45 QB takedowns.
Under pressure, and he's going to be taken down.
Cameron Jordan with 7.5.
And he's going to be taken down.
They drafted Peyton Turner in the first round too, but they lost their sack leader. Trey Hendrickson and his 13.5 sacks are gone. Hard to believe Turner can replace that, so let's dock him a half game.
And he's hit from behind.
That pass rush aided their secondary, which put up some stingy numbers against the pass.
If you're a defensive back coach, you don't even need a clinic. Just play the play over and over and over again.
Marshawn Lattimore is back at one corner.
Great play by Marshawn Lattimore.
But they lost Janoris Jenkins on the other side, and he outplayed Lattimore last year. Likely Patrick Robinson will take his spot. As for their run D, they had the 4th best in the NFL at 3.9 per rush.
McKinnon takes the handoff, and he's hit in the backfield.
So that leaves them under 500. The Michael Thomas news does not bode well for the offense, being their receiving core wasn't deep to begin with. And anytime you transition from a QB like Brees to anyone else, you have to expect some growing pains. It could be worse than that too. See New England year 1 sans Brady. That kind of season ends with a 6-11 mark. But what about the ceiling? Maybe Hill takes over and they run some funky new look offense that defenses can't figure out. Some sort of Ravens approach that could equal 10-7 and a spot in the postseason. Carolina Panthers, 5 wins in 2020, Matt Rule's first year on the job, so the win total mostly a reflection of the rebuilding process. Offense sputtered without CMC, 24th in points per game, 21st in yards per game, 25th on third down, 28th in the red zone.
Chase Young comes around the edge, hits Teddy Bridgewater on the arm, it's popped up in the air, and it is intercepted by Cameron Curl.
We aren't in the business of injury projections, so get him out there a full season, and he's the type of guy that buys you 2 more wins.
Give to McCaffrey, trying to get around the right side, he does. McCaffrey leaps, end zone, oh, touchdown!
Big change, of course, at QB, out with Teddy B, in with Sammy D. Darnold's numbers were nothing to write home about, but Carolina's brass obviously believes he didn't have much of a supporting cast. Not like the one he'll have this season anyway, which includes 2 guys who broke the 1,000-yard barrier.
The long bomb to DJ Moore.
The up and go with the flag down. Anderson makes the catch, may score. To the 20 down the right sideline, it is a touchdown.
They used their second-round pick on Terrace Marshall, and they picked up a couple solid guys in free agency.
Going to let it fly down the near sideline. Moore out there. He is in! Touchdown, Seahawks!
There's the explosive play. It took a breakdown defensively by the Rams, but who cares? 59-yard strike from Murray to Arnold.
Still, Darnold is in a prove-it year, so you can't guarantee he's really an improvement over Bridgewater, so leaving that meter be at QB. He should also have better protection in theory, not that Carolina's line is stacked, but New York's was just that bad. But the left side of the Panthers line will be new, and because losing your starting left tackle who got a solid rating from PFF doesn't usually end up being a good thing, we're docking them a half win. What about the D? Not great, not terrible, but incredibly young. 18th in points per game allowed, 18th in yards per game allowed. But they need to get better. 31st on third down, 25th in rating allowed, tied for 23rd in sacks. They should be better at getting home against QBs. They have a star on the rise in Brian Burns.
And Pop Stafford from behind, another sack from Brian Burns.
And he finally has a partner in crime now that Hassan Reddick is in town. And he's coming off a 12.5 sack season, so give him another half win.
Sacked at the 13, Hassan Reddick on the sack.
The group that feeds off that pass rush will be different. 2 of their starting DBs from last year are gone, but they used their number 8 overall pick on J.C. Horn, and Jeremy Chinn will slide back to safety, Chinn putting up a great rookie year.
And they sack Lock back to the 40, balls out.
Who's the defensive rookie of the year? Look at what Jeremy Chinn just did on that last play.
Who do they have that can help stop the run, though? Only 4 teams gave up a higher yard per carry average than Carolina, and no significant moves to address it. So that puts them at 7.5 wins, but once all 32 teams' projected wins are entered, it leaves them at 7-10. Darnold is clearly going to dictate much of their success. Worst case, he is what his stats from the last few years say he is, and the Panthers' offense is no better than last year, but that feels like a 5-12 type campaign. But what if Darnold lives up to the promise he had coming out of college? What if the change of scenery is all he needed? 9-8 wouldn't be crazy. Atlanta Falcons just 4 wins last year. 7 of their 12 losses, though, were by 8 points or less. But they aren't playing horseshoes out there, so Dan Quinn was sent packing. Arthur Smith, the new voice in the locker room, and a new voice was likely needed at this point, so let's give them a bump in their W column. There will also be new blood at receiver, no more Julio, and even though he didn't play a full slate, your passing attack can't be better without him, so that's going to cost him a game.
Julio stepped on the accelerator and puts in the end zone.
Good news is Calvin Ridley has shown he's more than ready for the spotlight.
3 left on the boundary side. Ryan now resets and throws to Ridley for the score.
Way to play ball. Way to play ball.
And it's easy to overlook what Russell Gage did for them, but we won't.
Here's Matt, the snap, looks, throws, caught Gage. He'll hit the pylon, touchdown Atlanta.
And all the experts said there was only one guy from last year's draft that was 100% the sure thing, and the Falcons nabbed him with the number 4 overall pick. So Matt Ryan will still have plenty of guys to choose from, even if his old partner isn't around anymore. And for Ryan's part, he still looks like a solid NFL QB, leading them to the 5th most passing yards per game last year.
Ryan floating it to the corner of the end zone. It's caught for the touchdown.
Easy throw and catch for Matt Ryan.
Now, they were still only average offensively, 16th in points per game, 18th in yards per game, 26th in the red zone, and sacks were a problem. Over 40 given up for the year.
Pressure right up the middle. Football came out.
Zadarius Smith got there.
And they lost one of the best centers in the game and one starting guard. Since they couldn't replace Alex Mack with anyone of note, we're going to cut another half win. Todd Gurley and his 3.5 yard per carry average won't be back. In his place, Mike Davis, who filled in admirably for Christian McCaffrey last year in Carolina. If they can actually conjure up a little bit of a run game, offense would benefit to the tune of a half win. Let's flip the page to the defense, whose biggest issue was stopping passing attacks. Plus 100 rating allowed, more passing yards per game allowed than any team, 25th highest completion percentage allowed. No wonder they got rid of 3 of their secondary starters. All sorts of new faces coming in, second rounder Richie Grant the most promising. But their pass D could still be in for a rough go of it, especially if they can't get home against quarterbacks. Tied for 23rd in sacks, and they're starting the same front 7 basically, so no movement of the needle here either. Falcons were okay against the run, and they still have Deion Jones.
It's intercepted. Deion Jones, and Jones is going to the end zone.
And let's give some props to Foye Oluokun, who had himself a year.
Under duress, chased up in the pocket, he'll be sacked back at the 26. Foye Oluokun's going to get credit for it.
So that leaves them worse than last year, only because they're playing an extra game. It feels like they're starting over because of the coaching change, but with Ryan there, it's like they haven't fully committed to the rebuild yet. Not sure how they finish worse than that. It would take an injury to Ryan, and like we've said, we're not predicting those. So let's just talk best case scenario. The staff gets more out of that defense. AJ Terrell improves on his rookie year. They win a few of those close games they lost last year, and Smith looks like the right man for the job. 8-9 and on the rise, or rise up. I'm sorry about that. Tennessee Titans, 11-win season in 2020, and a feeling that you're oh so close. The offense, elite, 4th most points per game, tied for the 2nd most yards per game, 5th best on 3rd down, 2nd best in the red zone. Their O was fueled, of course, by that running game of theirs.
Getting to the outside, to the 20. Great stiff arm! Oh, have some of that! Oh!
The King held court to the tune of more than 2,000 yards on the ground, 17 TDs, almost 5.5 per rumble. His coach claims he's ready to lay down another 2K campaign as well, and why not? He had PFF's 12th best line blocking for him, a line that will include Dylan Radence, who they picked up in the 2nd round, and Taylor Lewan returns after only playing 5 games, so they could be better up front. We're not sliding the win meter up only because their run game is already tops in football, but what about the passing game? Ryan Tannehill showed his comeback tale was no fluke.
Into the end zone. Ball is caught. Touchdown, Titans.
That's the NFL quarterback right there.
He has A.J. Brown back, coming off his 2nd 1,000-plus yard season.
Tannehill looks, fires. Brown makes the catch at the 10, spinning, driving his way into the end zone. Wow! How did he do it?
They lost Corey Davis, though, and he came close to the 1,000-yard marker as well, so that cost them at least half a win.
Incredible concentration by Davis.
What a catch. Just the details.
But they did at least pick up Josh Reynolds.
He throws. It's caught at the goal line by Josh Reynolds.
Oh, and they traded for that Julio guy. Jones, in this case, equaling a full rung on the ladder.
Julio stepped on the accelerator and put us in the end zone.
They did lose Jonnu Smith at tight end, though, and his 8 TDs are nothing to sneeze at, but there is a strong belief that Anthony Firkser is going to step up big. We'll buy into that and say it's close enough to a wash that we can leave the ball be. Defense, it was a problem. 24th in points per game allowed, 28th in yards per game allowed, last on 3rd down, 30th in the red zone. They were the exact opposite of their offense.
Head into the end zone! Touchdown, Bengals!
Nice. It didn't matter how teams moved the ball against them either. They gave up 4.5 on the ground. And they gave up the 9th highest rating, the 2nd most TD passes, and only 3 teams allowed more air yards per game. Secondary got no help from their front either. 19 sacks for the year, only 2 teams had fewer. Okay, so mass changes. Bye to Kenny Vaccaro, but he didn't have a great year for them. Malcolm Butler did though, and he's gone too. So that one hurts, let's say to the tune of a half game.
Firing man is their ball up in the air, is caught, intercepted, Butler.
But hold on, give it back. They drafted Caleb Farley with the number 22 overall pick, and they picked up Janoris Jenkins, who played almost as well as Butler.
And it's intercepted. Janoris Jenkins, back-to-back weeks with a pick.
Those guys should benefit from an improved front, too. Welcome to Tennessee, Bud Dupree.
He's still got the football, and he's going to take another big hit. Dupree and Watt.
and Denico Autry. Two guys that can get home, and getting home is worth another dub in this case.
And it's the second sack of the day for Denico Autry.
So let's round up to 13-4. The Wentz injury news really should make it easy for the Titans to run the AFC South. They addressed their defensive issues, and they are a hungry team. What's the worst case for this bunch? Henry suffering the wear and tear of all those carries, and what? He ends up with only 1,000 or so yards. Offense isn't as dangerous. Still, with that passing attack, they're a 10-7 team. And best case scenario, they make the dance because they are a contender. If that defense even finds itself described as mediocre, they're a 15-2 squad. Indianapolis Colts, an 11-win season a year ago, the offense getting it going, putting up the 9th most points per game, 10th most yards per game. They got solid QB play from Phillip Rivers, but he called it quits after a year in Indy, and that will cost the Colts a rung on the win ladder.
You weren't even close to making that play. You got a hand on it. You weren't even close.
Can his replacement make it up, though? First, he has to get on the field. Carson Wentz having surgery on his foot, so who knows when he actually plays now. But when he does, you could get the Wentz circa the first few years of his career, or the one we saw last year.
Back, he's gonna get hit, it's up in the air, and it's picked off! Taki's got it, down the sideline!
But he isn't moving any needles sitting on the sideline, and the guys behind him right now, they do, just not in the right direction. Whoever takes snaps will have the same exact cast of receivers as Rivers.
Zach Pascal trots into the end zone. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y at the 5, and he walks into the end zone. Touchdown to T.Y. 10-5 touchdown. Michael Pittman from 45 yards out.
And there is hope Paris Campbell maybe makes an impact. Wentz should have plenty of time to find them too. While he had a major sack problem last year, he shouldn't this year. The Colts O-line, it was 8th best according to PFF. They tied for the second fewest sacks, but they lost left tackle Anthony Costanzo. They signed Eric Fisher, but he's going to be hurt to start the year. And then came the news that Quentin Nelson also had foot surgery and won't be ready to start the year either. Not good news for Jonathan Taylor, who was looking to build on a great rookie campaign. Taylor started slow, but man did he come on, ending the year with a fat 5-yard a carry average, 11 TDs, over 1,100 yards. If you believe he's just getting started, it means he's better in year 2, so let's give the win meter ball a little push.
Jump cut Taylor breaking it out. Now he's going to hammer it upfield, looking for the goal line. He's in!
Defensively, Colts weren't too shabby. 10th fewest points per game allowed, 8th fewest yards per game. They played the run as well as any team in the league. 3.7 yards per carry allowed, second best. Not a fan of them losing Anthony Walker, so let's slide the meter back a bit.
Intercepted upfield. It's picked off the 20-yard line by the Colts. Anthony Walker's 25.
They also lost Justin Houston.
The next man beside you ain't got no choice but to feel you. Let's go get it, let's go get it, let's go get it.
And Denico Autry, both guys 7+ sack guys. That loss of pass rush pressure hurts. However, grab yourself some quiddy pay with the 21st overall pick, and you've at least covered some of that lost ground. And he could learn a lot from DeForest Buckner. I hear he's pretty good.
Let's go, man.
Their secondary fed off that pass rush. They held QBs to a respectable 90.5 rating.
It's picked off by the Colts. Kenny Moore runs it into the end zone for a touchdown.
You wouldn't call them lights out, but Xavier Rhodes did endear himself to Colts fans in his first year in town. The Colts QB situation, though, is going to dictate how their season goes, and the Wentz news is not good. So this is now a sub-500 team, 7-10, which is tied to Wentz playing at least half the year. Obviously, much of their fate simply rests on Wentz's shoulders, or foot, I guess. If it doesn't heal and he misses more time than expected, things could get ugly, like 4-13 ugly. But if Carson gets back out there sooner rather than later, and Reich has Indy fans singing peaches and herbs from the rafters, the Colts offense could really do some damage, and they could maybe get over 500 at 9-8. Jacksonville Jaguars starting at the very bottom of the meter with that 1-15 record they put up in 2020, but with that last place finish, hope was born. And hope in this case goes by the name Trevor Lawrence. I know that dude. Lawrence immediately becoming the face and hair of the franchise. The Duval faithful are all in on him. Let's give them a 2-game spike right off the top because from all accounts, the kid is legit. He won't have to do too much to improve the Jags offense either. 30th in points per game, 28th in yards per game, 21st in passing yards per game. Thing is, too, Lawrence has some legit targets to work with. DJ Chark.
It hits his man wide open. It's DJ Chark. Incredible. Lunges to the end zone. Touchdown.
Laviska Shenault showed he could hold his own in his first year.
Over the middle and Shenault. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
And they signed Marvin Jones, too, their pass catchers, earning them another win on the meter.
Stepping up, throws, got a man out there. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones on the receiving end.
How much time will Lawrence have to work with, though? Their line gave up 44 sacks and was rated 20th by PFF. And the same 5 starters are back. They need better play from their tackles specifically.
Drops the throw from the end zone, pumps once, hit. It is a safety. Matt Judon gets the sack.
The Jags' run game is in good shape. They drafted Travis Etienne with the number 25 overall pick, and they still have that guy no one wanted last year, James Robinson, putting up over a K on the ground.
Robinson tries to move the pile. He moved the pile into the end zone.
Let's turn to their defense, which didn't feature a lot of D. 31st in points per game allowed and yards per game allowed. Couldn't stop QBs. Rating allowed was over 105, tied for 27th in TD passes allowed, and only one team gave up a higher completion percentage. Why might things be better, though? CJ Henderson now understands how fast the game is at the NFL level.
Then it's intercepted, picked off, and coming away with it is CJ Henderson.
And they signed Shaquille Griffin.
Ball's tipped up, ball's intercepted. Shaq Griffin intercepted.
And Rayshawn Jenkins, who played the pass to the tune of a sub-90 rating.
Rayshawn Jenkins in the end zone picks off Matt Ryan.
Their secondary should be better, pushing their win total up by 1.
Ball is picked off. Joe Schobert comes away with the interception. It's there.
The DB core didn't get much help from the guys up front last year, second fewest sacks in the league. They signed some guys, but none with impressive sack resumes. They need Josh Allen to be known as the Josh Allen and not the other Josh Allen. The run D, not great, 4.7 per carry allowed. And that was despite having 2 linebackers rack up 100+ tackles each. They did add Damian Wilson to the mix.
Off the fingertips and knocked away by Damian Wilson.
Urban Meyer, of course, finally decided to dip his toes in NFL waters. He's been a winner everywhere else he's been, but let's leave the needle be for now, since college coaches have a sketchy NFL track record. So 5 wins, that gets him going in the right direction in year 1 of Meyer Lawrence, and it would set the stage for better things to come. But beware, rookie NFL coach out of college with a rookie QB can go south too, and if that happens, it's more like a 3-14 season. But what about the Lawrence ceiling? He throws for like 30 TDs, runs in 5. Duval is going nuts because their rookie QB just led them to an 8-9 record. Houston Texans, a tumble to 4-12 football. It led to change and lots of it. Last year's coaching staff oversaw a defense that gave up the 27th most points per game, 30th most yards per game, and were 29th on third down. And now the face of that defense and of the franchise is in Arizona. Watt didn't put up monster numbers, but you're going to pay for losing him, in this case a $W bill.
To the left hand off Henry and brought down to the backfield by Watt.
The Texans didn't sport much of a pass rush even with Watt, but they're hoping Shaq Lawson might live up to his potential.
And this time it's Shaq Lawson.
They'd love it if he could help them stop the run, too. No one gave up a higher yard per carry average than they did, 5.2. Not good.
And he just took her to the house.
They're sticking a couple new DTs up front, and they signed Christian Kirksey at linebacker.
Here they go up tempo a little bit, but it's not going to work. It was Kirksey coming around on the blitz.
And props to Zach Cunningham because he was everywhere for them last year.
And here's a sack by Cunningham. Guess who?
But they just didn't appear to make any major upgrades that lead you to believe their front 7 will be much better, and the same could be said about their secondary. Second highest rating allowed, highest completion percentage allowed, fewest interceptions. And despite that, 3 of the 4 starters look like they'll trot out there again, along with newcomer Terrence Mitchell. All this means there is a lot of pressure on the offense to keep them in games, but at least they have a guy, in theory, who single-handedly seems capable of doing that. But how long will Deshaun Watson be there? And how does he play coming off an off-season like he had? It doesn't seem to bode well for him or their win total. He also lost Will Fuller. That doesn't help.
And he's got it at the 50. Fuller on the run. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Will Fuller.
He still does at least have Brandon Cooks.
And caught. Touchdown.
But it gets thin after that. Now, he might have a little more time to work with at least. They gave up a 50-burger worth of sacks last year. But they picked up Marcus Cannon, he's fresh because he didn't play in 2020, and Justin Britt. So it seems like they might finish higher than 26th in PFF's rankings this year. They didn't run much, but David Johnson had a few games here and there where he was effective. And now they have Phillip Lindsay too.
55-yard scamper by Phillip Lindsay.
All these guys being coached by David Culley and a new staff, but a 2-15 record would indicate he's got a lot of work to do. No sense talking worst case scenario, so let's skip to the ceiling. And that involves Watson simply playing out of his mind, which he's shown he's capable of. Still, their ceiling isn't all that high, 6-11.